Webmerized, and Red Hill Brewing. Without you guys, this episode would not be possible. Episode of the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast, where it's our take on life, liberty, and the pursuit of gravy, while you, the listener, are invited to come up on the front porch, grab a beverage, and set a spell. We've got a great show lined up for you as always, but before we begin, let me introduce you to our starting lineup. Running the Facebook Live, the YouTube Live, and manning the chat, it is producer Ryan, a.k.a. Magic Man, a.k.a. Mr. Pickle.
Hey. Oh, hey everybody, how's it going?
Refer to episode 166 for the inside joke on that one. Manning the helm is our producer Brian.
Hey guys.
A man of many words.
Yes.
And I, of course, be your illustrious host, Biggin. And how about you? We've got a great show lined up for you as always. But listen, you may be asking yourself, why in the world am I tuning into this podcast? These knuckleheads have no idea what they're doing. Well, you'd be right. But, we're transparent. We love sharing our stories, and we love our guests to come on and share their stories. We love to have fun, goof around, get serious, cry, laugh, hug each other. Well, that sounded weird. But anyway, we just love each other, and we love to talk. So we decided we're going to do a podcast. So here we go. Just some upcoming things to talk about. Hey, if you are watching on Facebook Live or you're listening to the podcast, do us a favor. We'd really appreciate it. Go over to YouTube, search SFP Radio. Our logo will pop up. At that point, you will just hit subscribe. You don't have to watch any videos or anything like that, so we would appreciate it. So that's YouTube. If you have stayed home and you want to do your own podcast, because again, these knuckleheads can do it, just shoot producer Brian an email at headlines@SFP Radio. And if you would like to be a show sponsor, just shoot us an email at SFP Radio, and producer Brian will now tell us where you can find us on all the fun socials.
Yes, we are on all of the socials, on Facebook at Southern Fried Philosophy, Instagram, Twitter, not YouTube, Twitch at SFP Radio.
Right.
Again, you can always email us, show us sfpradio@gmail.com. If you want to buy us a chicken sandwich or help support the show, you can go to patreon.com/SFP Radio. And you can always catch us streaming on iHeartRadio, Spotify, TuneIn app, and probably lots of other places. Don't forget TikTok.
Right. You don't stop.
Right.
Yeah, these chicken sandwiches, they're costing me an arm and a leg. I'm telling you, because it's not just the chicken sandwich I buy. Then my wife's like, oh, well, I want food from these places. Check.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm feeding my family at lunch. They're getting takeout every week now. So.
That's right. So, shoot us $5. That'd be great, and we'll give you a shout out if that's the case. Hey, our special guest tonight, Tanya Thompson, she did 100 nights of bourbon. Go check our Instagram, and we posted the lineup for tonight. She is going to tell us how to do a bourbon tasting. So this clearly is starting to become the bourbon podcast. So there's that, which is fun, but because we love bourbon, except Ryan, he doesn't know what he's doing. So that'll make this even more fun. So we're excited about that. But anyway, so that's who's on the stream. If you're watching Facebook Live, and if you hear a voice over the podcast, that's who is there. So we appreciate you shooting her an Instagram and saying, hey, I appreciate you being on the show. That would be cool. I'm sure she'd love that. We would like to say shout out to our listeners from India. Appreciate you tuning in. Guys, we are global. I don't know if you guys realize this, but we literally reach around the world every week. That's insane.
Just
awesome.
Not Alaska.
Crazy. What'd
That's
you
awesome.
say?
I said just not Alaska. We get the whole world.
Right.
Not Alaska. Right.
We don't get North Dakota, Alaska, and Vermont. But I'm a man on a mission.
Actually,
sorry, go ahead.
My mom told me, she says, I think I know some people in those states. Let me see what I can do.
Come on, Mom. I need you to pull through. If not, guys, you think the chicken sandwiches are expensive. We're getting plane tickets, and we're flying up there. and
Just
we're
listen to
gonna
ourselves.
listen to ourselves.
Yeah.
Or maybe we could get like an IP address and just ping it off of that in
There
North
you go.
Dakota and be like, now we've got it.
I can do that.
That's smart. Very
I can
smart.
do that.
Yes.
I can do that right now.
You
Actually.
can.
Give me a minute.
Matter of fact, give me 5 minutes. So I'm going to ask you guys, like I ask you every week, how you be doing? And we'll go to Magic Man.
Hey, doing pretty
Rick
good.
sucks. Oh, wait, what?
Well,
That's a new
I
one.
mean, I'm diversifying. I'm reaching out. It's interesting.
lying.
I'm looking out the window here.
Yeah.
We were supposed to have a bunch of storms come through today, and evidently the southern part of the list of our listening area, the southern part of our metropolitan area got whacked pretty good. Evidently there was a tornado warning down there, but all we got up here in the northern part is just some rain, and that was it. There wasn't really anything. So thankful that we escaped what they were saying was going to be some really bad storms, tornadoes, and the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but go ahead,
Yep.
Producer Brian.
I'm good. I'm actually really good. You guys remember trying to buy tickets to events in like the late 90s, like the early 2000s?
Yeah.
On Ticketmaster. Like I know Biggin doesn't like concerts, so but maybe he did it for the wife or something.
Yeah, Jessica loves concerts, so
Yeah.
we went, I think in 19 to the old John Mayer at the arena using Ticketmaster.
There was a time before the interwebs were prevalent.
You can talk.
Southern word of the week. You'd have to, they'd say tickets are going on sale at like 9:00 on Saturday, right?
Sure.
So you have to call, like you get on the phone at 9 and you're like, okay, busy, speed dial, busy, speed dial, speed. So my years of trying to do that has prepared me for the current climate we're in right now. So Wednesday of this week, they opened up COVID for another group, which I happen to fall into. So I forgot
number 4
for group 4, whatever is in group 4.
Yep.
You can diagnose yourself for that, I think. But so they opened up Wednesday morning at like 8:30 or something, and I forgot to call it 8:30 because that's what my wife wanted me to do.
Mm-hmm.
So like 9:10, 9:15, oh, let me call. So I did the speed dial thing, right? Like hang up. Okay, not a real person. Like a couple times I got through and it rings. So I got an appointment eventually, pretty quickly. Apparently they're all gone now. So if you want one, too bad. But
you're out.
Yeah, but it was like, if you get in early enough on those tickets, you get like a front row. You think, oh, I'm gonna get it early because I'm calling so 5 hours back. Well, I got in pretty early because I got my shot today. Like
holy cow,
24-hour turn, like bam, done.
Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah.
When you called and you talked to somebody.
Yeah. I talked to a person.
Did you say first time, long time?
Yeah, right. That's what it felt like, a radio call-in show. No, she goes, how about tomorrow? I went, what?
I might be busy that day.
I said, okay, sure. And they were filling up while I was talking to her. I said, just put me on there, whatever. I'll go I'll figure out the time, right? Yeah.
Oh Lord.
So, anyway, I feel kind of terrible, but good at the same time.
You feel terrible because of the shot? I
feel like I got punched in the arm by Mike Tyson. But other than that, like old Mike Tyson, not young Mike Tyson.
Okay. All right. Just to be clear.
I can still move my arm. It's just sore.
Magic Man,
you got both ears too, so that's good.
Yeah, I didn't get bit.
Yeah.
How much could we pay you, Magic Man, to get punched in the face by old Mike Tyson? How much would it take?
I wouldn't do it.
Ever? Like $1 million. Like how much would it take?
6 IPAs.
Yeah, maybe
6 IPAs.
Maybe after 6 IPAs, sure. But
well, that was a whole hell of a lot cheaper than I thought.
Get 6 IPAs, wait till after 4 bourbons.
Yeah.
That's right.
Get old Mike on the phone.
That would be. I'm just curious. What would be the going rate? Man.
Oh, you'd have to pay a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you could potentially die, right, from a punch.
Depends on where he's hitting you, I guess.
I mean, in the face. Like you have to stand still, and he gets one punch at you. How much would it cost for that?
0. I don't know. That's you might.
I'd do it for 500,000.
500,000. You'd let.
Because it'll heal.
plus
the most part.
expenses, plus medical expenses, or
Yeah. Oh
like,
yeah.
And
Yeah,
and
he's got to pay for that.
and time out from work while you're recuperating.
Sure. $500,000. Yeah. That'll
Mm.
pay off my
Oh.
house, and I have plenty. Yeah, we'll
Oh.
be good. All right. Well,
How you
man,
doing?
it has been. I feel like I've been punched in the face by Mike Tyson this past week.
Ooh.
So, yeah, this past week we got off the air on Thursday. You know, guys, I haven't been feeling well. Friday comes around. I get some really good news. Things are okay. It was probably just COVID. So I'm flying high, feeling good on that. Saturday, I go see my good friend Lamond at the House of Lamond. I'm looking all sharp and spiffy. You guys saw me in the suit, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
Looking good.
Yep.
It's Dapper AF is his like hashtag. So this is a
And
family show, so I'm not going to say that.
and your wife was pretty impressed as well.
Right. Yeah. Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say the words hello time. Yeah. Quickly followed after that. So Lamond did a great job at the House of Lamond. So if you're in Charlotte, you need like a suit, or you need some alterations, or you need to look fly or dapper AF, call our friend Lamond at House of Lamond. I'm sure we'll put the info in show notes. He's an awesome guy, like really, really cool. And but then Tuesday rolls around, and we had to put my dog down. And I've been hanging with this dog for 15 years. Like it's been a good run for her. She was not feeling well. It was just she was getting older, and those type of things. So that was a rough day. And then to put the cherry on top, today I get a call at 5 a.m. Now, remind you, 5 a.m, saying this is Small Batches Daycare, and and we're going to close for today. Wait, what? Because of inclement weather that's, as Magic Man said, didn't even show up. So now I got to watch this kid and work because at 5 o'clock in the morning, you decide to call it off. Give me a heads up. You knew the weather was coming. Like, that didn't shock anybody. And then nothing happened. That also didn't shock anything. They'll call off school for two seconds of rain. Just frustrating. So, y'all.
My phone won't ring at 5 a.m. if you try to call me, FYI.
Just for note.
Just so
Yeah.
you know, if you try to call me
Yeah.
at 5 a.m., nobody's home.
Yeah. Oh, I was so because I mean I have it for emergencies, like something happened. My
Sure.
dad's out of town. I don't know,
Yeah.
So there's that.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, by gosh, she's going to daycare tomorrow. If I have to duct tape her to the wall and walk away, like y'all
run it
got to deal with
yourself,
this.
that-
Like I'm out. So I'm just kidding, DSS. If you're listening, I'm just kidding. It's a joke.
I'll cut
He's
that out.
kidding. Yeah. He's
Just cut that out.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we use like 2-sided duct tape and bungee cords. All right. So the Southern word of the week is piddlin'. Have you guys heard piddlin' before?
Yep.
Yep. This could mean puttering around, but Southerners also like to use it as an adjective meaning something small or trivial. Hopefully, you get into something more than a piddlin' raise from your company this year. Another example is quit piddling around and help me set the table. So
Yeah.
piddling.
I don't think I've heard the negative connotation, like in what you're talking about, the
Like the
scale, like
Yeah.
a metric.
I don't think I've
Like,
heard that either.
Just piddling,
Yeah.
like just
right,
doing nothing of any importance.
right.
Yeah.
I think that's what people do when they go to Sleepy Poet. You piddle around Sleepy Poet.
What is Sleepy Poet?
Well, it's that antique mall. That's all,
That's piddling.
Charlotte's known for, and
right.
Gastonia.
That's
I
the
mean,
definition
Gastonia.
of piddling right there.
Gastonia. Just
Yeah.
piddling.
Hey, our piddling place is what's that, Gibson Mill or
Careful.
whatever up here?
Okay.
That
Right, yeah.
antique store up here.
Yeah,
where-
that's
Sure.
Saturday. You
Near
just go out
CBC
to, I think my mom would do. She'd go to like the Apple Festival up towards Lincoln or,
Mhm.
whatever flea market.
The flea
Piddling.
market.
Yeah.
Yep. I also had thinking about things that I Brian, I don't know if I told you or Tanya on Saturday. When you go look at bourbon and you go in and you try to find, where they put the nice bourbons or
The
like
good
the new
stuff.
ones, the good stuff, the allocated stuff, whatever. It has that same feel of like when you went to Blockbuster as a kid and you walked around that back wall to try to find the new stuff. That was kind of like
new
a
releases.
yeah. When you just walk around the bourbon aisle, it has that same feel to me as an adult. Like, what do I find? Anything good? Ooh. It's just
Mm.
something I
Yeah, I
noticed
never
this
had to
week.
go like behind the counter to get a movie though. That's the difference, I guess.
You were going to the wrong movies, my friend. Did you ever have to get the black bag?
Yeah.
You had to get the black bag. That was no good.
They didn't have those at Blockbuster.
I always thought that they did as a kid. And I was so intrigued by it because I would see the employees go in. I'm like, oh, they're getting one. But the one that I went to, like they had a set of stairs and they could look over to make sure nobody was stealing anything. But I thought as a kid, that's where those X-rated movies were. So it wasn't. It wasn't. All right, guys, we are going to go to the Chicken Madness round dos for our Spanish-speaking friends. This week is Wendy's versus Zaxby's.
Carry on.
The winner last week, McDonald's versus Chick-fil-A. Everybody kind of figured that one out. It would be Chick-fil-A.
Surprise.
So shocker. Now Zaxby's versus Wendy's. Let me describe to you from their website, the new classic chicken sandwich is now available at Wendy's. What makes the new classic chicken? Chicken that's juicy with the right amount of crispy. Taste that perfect combo of juicy and crispy chicken with lettuce, tomato, mayo, and pickles. That is their description.
Sounds familiar.
Who doesn't want that? Now let me compare that to Zaxby's, which has a freshly prepared, double hand breaded premium chicken breast fillet with 3 sliced pickle chips and served on a buttery toasted potato bun with your choice of Zax sauce or spicy Zax sauce. I know that you guys may be wondering who's going to win just by the description. So we will go ahead and bring up our scores.
Close, yeah.
Gentlemen,
Yeah.
let's kind of talk about these chicken sandwiches, shall we?
Just a reminder, in case this is your first week on the Chicken Madness, we have a arbitrary point system. You can get 5 points for presentation, 5 points for bread, 5 points for sauce, 5 points for toppings, and 10 points for the chicken, for a total of 30 points over 3 judges. Given a perfect score would be 90 points.
Right. So, Producer Brian, are you going to bring up the
I got it right in front of me.
Okay.
Be happy to take us through it.
Go ahead, take us through, bud.
All right. So we're going to start with the lower seed, as we did before,
right?
Which is Wendy's, which is a 5 seed in our little competition here.
Okay.
On the presentation, Biggin gave it a 3.5.
Right.
I gave it a 4. You have a lot of 0.5s here.
You know,
and
I just
Magic Man gave it a 3. So any comments there?
I decided to be more realistic with my ratings this week.
Thank God.
Yeah, I mean, the presentation really, if it still looks like a chicken sandwich when you take it out of that, I mean, what are our expectations? It's not going to look like the commercial. We know that, right?
Yeah.
We do. Like mine was a little bit elevated from the Chick-fil-A because it just looked, but this one had the lettuce and tomato on it, which looked more appealing.
Sure, had the colors going on there.
Had some colors going on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So next is bread.
Mm-hmm.
JT gave it 2.5. I gave it a 3, and Ryan gave it a 3 as well.
Yep.
I don't remember much about that bread. Now I think about it.
You know, I
regular
was
bun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really kind of dialed in the potato bun again, so that's why it's a little bit higher. So there's that.
Wendy's at
Just a regular bun.
So sauce, also known as mayonnaise, 2.5 from Biggin, 3 from me, and a 3 from Magic Man. Okay. 2.5 is probably the right score. I'm just avoiding the half points myself.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste like I told my wife what it was. She's like, "Oh, that was mayonnaise." It was like a watered down.
Yeah, it was.
It was like ranch without the seasoning packet in there or something, you know, and make it yourself.
Sure.
It was fun to me. Any thoughts on the mayonnaise there, Magic Man?
Didn't care much for it, but
yeah,
you know.
Jess said it was a little sweet, which I didn't. I tasted it by itself. I didn't get that, so
I didn't get that either. Toppings, everyone gave it a 4. So I will say I was surprised by the pickle on the sandwich
Hmm.
with the lettuce and tomato. I didn't see that coming.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, had one more pickle than the sandwiches last week, and they were a little bit bigger.
I didn't count.
You didn't get a side by side comparison again.
No, actually, I don't even
No.
have the
Hey, show
remnants
me those
with me here.
pickles. Hey,
Sorry.
where are those pickles at? I know you got them. You're hiding
Where
them.
are the pickles? I'm gonna need a pickle every week. I'm gonna need you to show the
Okay.
pickles.
I'll start that
Pickle
next
comparison.
week.
I'm just kidding. Well, and I'm not a lettuce and tomato guy, so I was really like, oh, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But the lettuce was crispy, the tomato was decent,
Mhm.
so you got
It's
a
fine.
4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah.
And
Lettuce
then
was not
chicken, which is
wilted.
the sorry, what was that?
I said the lettuce was not wilted.
Mhm.
That's
Yep.
it wasn't, it was still green. That's
Yep.
always good.
It's always good.
And of course the main event, the chicken itself.
Mhm.
This is probably comes down to the restaurant, but both Biggin and Magic Man gave it a 5, and I gave it a 7 because it wasn't
Wow.
bad, but it just wasn't juicy enough. It wasn't as advertised.
Mm.
Yeah, that crispy,
crispy.
juicy
Yeah.
didn't quite work for me. But I will say with the tomato in it, like the whole combo kind of made the whole thing juicier, but I would want the chicken to be juicier as well.
Yep.
So that's why I was
little
just
better
down the middle.
chicken would go along. That was good.
Yeah.
I really liked the sandwich. At the end of the day, I liked it a lot. It just we'll see. how it goes.
But honestly, if I would just get the chicken out of both McDonald's and Wendy's, I don't know if I could tell the difference that much.
I could.
I'm with you.
You
I'm
could?
with you on that
Okay.
one.
Okay.
Yeah, you get a little more flavor on like the breading on the Wendy's. I think they use salt.
Okay.
You
There's
salt.
that.
The total
All right.
final score on the Wendy's 17.5 for Biggin, 21 from me, and 18 from Magic Man.
All right.
Final thoughts on the Wendy's chicken sandwich before we move on?
I like the
If you have
burgers.
to, yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah. The other thing I was going to say is like if you got the non-classic chicken sandwich, the other one had like cheese whiz on it, jalapenos, bacon. I feel like that would be a really good chicken sandwich if you're going above and beyond. But if it's just a regular classic chicken sandwich, nah. But if you're adding all that other stuff to it, we might have something there.
Yeah, their pub chicken's pretty good. I've had that.
Yeah. Pretzel bun, all that fun stuff.
Yep. So next one is Zaxby's. You already did the description of that, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Presentation. Both Biggin and Magic Man gave it a 4, and I gave it a 5, which is a top score, because mine kind of looked like the picture. If you looked at the right angle, it was like a big fat piece of chicken. It was a big piece of chicken.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a little flat thing. Yeah, I could see the sauce. I could see the pickle. I mean, it almost looked like the photograph.
Yeah. I deducted 1 point because I would have loved it to be in a box and it was just in a bag. There's the presentation for the
environment.
And that's something too, is the Wendy's chicken was in a regular wrap like you get a hamburger in.
Yeah.
Whereas the other, the Zaxby's was in a bag, foil bag.
Nothing says chicken sandwich like a foil bag.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
It's
a little more upscale.
Yeah. Bread, you got 2 4s and a 5. So Biggin and Magic Man both give it a 4 on the bread, that's a pretty high score. And I gave it a 5 because I really like that bun, especially after the Wendy's one.
Yeah.
Good.
See that.
Good roll. I'm a big Zaxby's fan, so you're gonna see that more in a second.
I think if I would have been able to not have the sauce on, and we'll talk about sauce in a little bit, if I were to be able to taste the bun almost kind of by itself, if that makes sense, not with the sauce, that may have increased that, but because there was so much sauce going on.
Sure. Yeah, sauce. Biggin gave it a 4. I gave it a 5 again. I like Zach sauce. Magic Man gave it a 4. So these are pretty high scores on the sauce. Toppings is a pickle again.
Right. I gave it a 3 for 3 pickles.
Yep. Did
1
Magic
point
Man
per
have 4
pickle.
pickles on this sandwich?
I think it was only 3.
Okay, because you gave it a 4. He must have loved the pickles.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember.
And here's the thing about the pickle though, and I wanted to note, like I couldn't tell if it was a bread butter or a regular. It was almost like a weird, like I sucked the sauce off of it and tasted it. Careful, it's a family show.
Yeah.
But it was a weird like combo. It wasn't just like a dill pickle. Like it was almost slightly sweet.
I I don't recall. I just know there was like there's a lot of pickle. I didn't count them, but it was the right amount of pickle on that sandwich.
Tanya, how bored are you on a scale of 1 to 10 right now?
No, but I have a question. I have a
Okay.
question. So let me
Good.
just clarifying question. You pulled the pickle off that sandwich by
Yep.
itself and sucked the sauce off of it.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Because
Well, you're thorough.
Just paint that picture in your mind's eye.
Oh gosh. I
Because
don't know
my
which is
wife-
better, mine showing the actual pickles last week or your description of what you did with the one you had on your sandwich.
Depends on what gender's listening. Hey.
Yeah. Hey.
I will say, like, because my wife was like, this is a weird pickle, because she was able to pick that out. And I'm like, well, let me try it. So that's why I was a little bit more thorough.
I'll have to pay more attention next time.
Yeah. Take your pickle out, suck on it.
Inspect
Yeah,
it.
I like a lot of pickles, but I don't remove them. Yeah.
There you go.
That's awesome.
So the chicken,
on.
8 points for everybody on the chicken itself.
Down the line,
which is pretty high considering. And I was kind of thinking about in terms of last week a little bit because
Mm-hmm.
like I gave the Chick-fil-A chicken a 9
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know that anything gets 10. I could be wrong at some point. So the Zaxby's wasn't quite up to Chick-fil-A from flavor.
Wow.
Like, it wasn't brine, but it was very good. It was
Yeah.
it was juicy. It was like it looked like real chicken, not like pounded out flat.
So it wasn't chicken tenders at Zaxby's. It was a full piece of chicken.
was a
It was a
fillet.
real chicken sandwich,
Okay.
which is an upgrade from them.
I have
Yeah.
not had one of those, so I've only had the chicken tenders.
Yep. No, and that's what surprised. I made sure to confirm that it was a fillet, not just the tenders.
Yeah, I mean their tenders are good, but it's cheating.
Yeah.
We're worth disqualifying or something. So that brings
You're
us
out.
to 23 from Biggin, 26 from me, and 24 from Magic Man for a total of 73 points for the Zaxby's.
Man,
Wow.
that's high.
Yeah.
That's a big score
Wow.
so far.
So far they're in the
they
lead.
ran the numbers up on Wendy's there, ran the score up on them.
And who do we have next week?
Next week's the real interesting one. It's Popeyes and KFC.
Ooh,
Got two chicken giants. fighting each other.
this is going to be like a Mike Tyson punch out next week.
This is gonna
I'm
be,
really interested in how this is going to turn out. Okay.
It's the one I have no idea. Some of the, you look at some of these, you go,
You
if
look
we
at like
if we were
Arby's
doing
and
a
Bojangles.
tournament, like a
That'd be
bracket,
easy. Yeah.
the bracket challenge on this.
Yep.
That's what we should have done. Set our listeners do a bracket challenge.
And just for reference, Chick-fil-A, the total points for them was 58 and a half. Zaxby's the 73. I mean, the number 4 seed is definitely looks favorable.
Sure.
So if you're in Vegas, I would put some money on old number 4 there.
And it's, the way we're doing this, it's going to be different from week to week too.
Yeah.
So subjective. If by some chance Zaxby's and Chick-fil-A go head to head.
Oh, they are indeed.
Is that I haven't even looked at is that next?
Yeah, in the next
Yep.
Is that
round.
the next? Oh, that's week.
That's the final
5
4
or something.
Yeah, that's the
Yep.
final
So
4.
Chick-fil-A and Zaxby's are in the final 4.
Oh well, look at that. Well,
We're
when that
cruising right on.
comes, that's a highly anticipated. I
Absolutely.
think the sauce is kind of the sauce and the bread. I don't know.
Now, how about this? My wife said, you get the Zaxby's chicken sandwich, remove the Zaxby's sauce and put on Chick-fil-A sauce. That might be something there.
I don't know. I'm not.
That may be
Well, if it
something.
was like the Chick-fil-A sauce we had last week, we'd just take off the sauce and there wouldn't be anything there.
All right.
Okay.
So
anyway,
there's that.
that's So moving on, we got Zaxby's moving on. They'll face Chick-fil-A this next round.
Well, yeah. So next week we'll have Popeyes, KFC, and then Arby's, Bojangles, and then we'll go back to Chick-fil-A, Zaxby's. So we've got 3 more weeks for that battle royale.
And what was the score for Chick-fil-A last week?
48 and a half or 58 and a half.
58 and a half.
58 and a half.
Wow.
So,
And most of that's because there's no sauce. So you get points for sauce.
yeah.
So I think that's where they're at disadvantage. So if you had a minimum, if we all gave it in the middle, a 2.5 or something, I'd put it in the 60s probably. So
Easy in the 60s. Yeah.
so it'd be only down by like 10 probably. But the sauce and that bread at Zaxby's is so much better.
unless you're Magic Man, Mr. Pickle, that gave 3 points for a sauce for a sandwich that had no sauce.
I did
Still
good
angry
this
about
week, though.
Yeah, and he gave points for pickles he didn't eat. So.
That's true.
that.
But I did show him.
All right, so we are going to go play that beautiful music, producer Brian.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, our special guest this week, Tanya Thompson. Tanya did a Instagram post, 100 days of bourbon. So every day she took a bourbon and just did a write-up on it for 100 days.
For 100 days straight.
100 days straight.
Wow.
Oh,
My liver is fine. Really, I'm in good shape. This is not jaundice.
I'm so...
There you go.
Trust me, I'm a professional. I'm fine.
Don't try this at home, folks.
Do not try this at home.
That's so funny. So she has graced us with the most ridiculous setup that we've ever had on the show. She provided a bourbon tasting wheel, 4 Glencairn glasses, 5 samples of bourbon, our own tasting notes, and she knows how to do tastings of bourbon. So she's going to walk us through how to do that. So, but before we do, what we're going to do, we're going to ask some questions, then we'll do a tasting, and then we'll keep asking questions and doing tastings. I'm not exactly sure if we're going to be able to be like sober by the end of this, but we're going to give it a shot. So we got 5, and we're doing a blind tasting, so we don't know what any of these are. So we're going to kind of go through this, and she's going to walk us through. But Tanya, where are you from originally?
Well, first of all, I'm going to need a picture ID from each of you to make sure that you're old enough.
Sure. Yeah,
I need to confirm that you're not driving anywhere after this.
See this gray stuff right here?
This right here. You don't get that at 21, baby.
Oh, no, thank you for having me.
You know what's funny is I'm older than both of you, and
Hey,
no gray.
because you use Just for Men. I've seen it in your trash can.
Okay, great.
Don't lie.
That's a new sponsor opportunity right there.
That's right.
So where are you from originally? Sorry.
I am from Greer, South Carolina.
Where's Greer exactly?
Greer is right outside of Greenville. It's home of BMW North America and my Greer High School 1989 AAA football champions. Yeah,
all right, congratulations.
That's my hometown. Yeah,
there you go.
My mom still lives there. My sister, my brother. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we met up on Saturday, and I asked you this question, and it still blows my mind. I told my wife, and she laughed for about 5 minutes. Where did you start your love of bourbon?
So, yeah, don't arrest anyone.
Right.
So, my parents were older when I was born. I was kind of an accident. So my dad was 45, my mother was 40 when I was born, and they were in the shrine. And, I was my closest sibling is like 13 years older than me. So I was an accident, and I come along and they're partying it up and they're in the shrine and they're having a good old time. And then I come along. So, they just kind of dragged me with them. So I was about 6 years old, and I remember my father, Dad would fix Ezra Brooks with a real Coke, and it would be, real icy in an old fashioned glass, a rocks glass. And, it would be real fuzzy and sudsy on top, almost like, root beer. I mean, it would be back then it was so sudsy. And I remember just lapping that up and thought it was the most delicious thing I had ever tasted. And then it was like, awful because they couldn't put a drink down and I was all over them. It was bad. And I was like 6, so it was, they had to literally, warn their friends and be careful where they took me because I would just pick up glasses and try to find, the Ezra and Coke.
Wow.
I know it's bad. But, so no, I didn't turn into a raging alcoholic. But fast forward to college, and I went to college in the early 90s. And back then the popular beverage was like Zima, and I just couldn't do it. I just could not, even back then. So my go-to beverage then was Crown and ginger ale. And so loved it, all through college and, into my 20s and, 30s. So, and then I thought, well, if this, if I really like this crown this much, I need to go back and find some Ezra Brooks. And let's go back to, and my mother's always had bourbon at the house. She still drinks bourbon. She's on up there. So, but yeah, so we're just kind of a bourbon household.
And you said that your dad told you a lesson before, or gave you a lesson before you went to college.
Yeah, he did.
And what was that?
Well, he just warned me, I don't know that many parents do this to people who were in college. I think my father was unique, but he kind of sat me down and said, no, listen, you have to pick the alcohol that's going to treat you right. Don't mix them, don't use mixers, don't add sugar. And, and you have drink in moderation and be careful. Don't act like a fool. And so, for me, it's not wine, it's not beer. It's, if I'm at a tailgate, it's probably a Crown and Ginger, but, it's just bourbon is my thing. It's just my palate. I love the way it tastes and I enjoy it, all things in moderation.
Absolutely. Like chicken sandwiches.
Yeah.
I'm so glad my nurse practitioner is not watching this episode.
She might be.
She might be. All right. So how did 100 Days of Bourbon start? Tell us that story. Like, how did that kind of start off for you?
Well, you get stuck in a rut. You find your favorites and then you end up just buying the same bourbon and drinking the same bourbon over and over. That was us, We took a trip to the Bourbon Trail, me and my boyfriend, in 2015 and came home with about 45 bottles, which is a lot. That's a trunk full of bourbon. I mean, it's slightly illegal. It's a lot of bourbon.
That's a bit.
But we still were drinking the same 3 or 4 or 5. And I had all this unopened bourbon. And then we went back in 2018 and the same thing. It was another trunk full of bourbon, another 48 bottles. And so we had over 80 bottles here at the house. And when my business office closed for COVID on March 11th of 2020, I came home and we were kind of let out early. We had a COVID scare. And so I came home and logged in and worked for a few hours. And then when I logged off, I just grabbed the biggest bottle of bourbon that we had. It's a Willet pot still. It's still in my office. The darn thing is huge. And I said, you know what? If I lose my sense of taste or smell, or, God forbid this virus kills me, I want to at least open and taste all of our bourbon, every bit of it. So that started day one of, what I thought was going to be about 3 weeks of bourbon tasting. I had no idea this was going to last 100 days. And I'm literally kind of in this field. It's what I do for a living. And I just had no idea it was going to last this long. So I thought, well, I've got plenty of bourbon for 3 weeks. This will be easy, and then 3 weeks turned into 6, which turned into 3 months.
Yeah. And also too, if you are watching on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. Magic Man will let us know if there's questions. And then you two guys, if there's questions that you have, which I'm sure there will be, please just interrupt me. Anything so far? Any questions?
Nope.
Going once, going twice.
Mel, I'm thinking about like transportation for that quantity. How big is this? What kind of car are you putting this?
Listen, the first trip, the car wasn't big enough. We had bourbon all over that car. And then the second trip, after that first trip, I realized, well, we need boxes. I need bubble wrap. I need some tissue paper. You want to keep them upright. You don't want them moving around. It was like a production the second time, and now we have an SUV. So, it's just that nothing is stopping us now. Except for I've run out of space here. The bar's full. All the cabinets are full. My office is full. Bourbon's everywhere.
Wow.
How many bottles do you have now, roughly?
We have a little over 250.
Wow, that's great.
Good.
Of unique bourbons, not duplicates. Yeah, I have some duplicates, but unique bourbons. Yeah. And they're open. So their bourbon is open at my house. I'm not one of these people that hoards, unicorn bottles and doesn't open them. So
and those trips that you took, can you name some of those that you were able to get those 48 bottles and 45 bottles? Ready for this,
listen.
Brian?
Well, when we went in 2015, this was kind of before the secondary market got crazy. And the distilleries were still kind of small, like Willet was still very small without the huge gift shop. So I was able to pick up like XCF version 1.0 Willet, which is impossible to find. And now it's like thousands of dollars. And, I'm on my second bottle of it. Now, when we drank the first bottle, we had no idea. I had no idea that I would never see that again. I had no idea that these bourbons were limited to, maybe 1,000 bottles or 1,600 bottles like in the country. So we were going to these distilleries and picking up, like, that's where I got the Elijah Craig 23. You can't find that. You can't walk into a distillery at Heaven Hill today and pick up 23. It's just not that easy. You can with a lot of luck and probably a heads up, but, back then it was, you'd find all these little honey bottles in all the distilleries, Woodford, and it was easy. I wasn't standing in line, So now it's different. We went back in 2018 and you could tell the world had changed. The gift shops were rather empty and, there were no unicorn bottles.
Or you're like me and got up at 2:45 in the morning on a Saturday, drove to South Carolina to be in a line at 4:00 in the morning for a Weller 107. How about that?
But it was a single barrel. It's a single barrel.
So
that's special. Right? Yeah.
There you go.
Have you cracked it open yet?
No, I've got some guys that are coming in April, and one of them is bringing a Pappy 15. And so we're going to taste the Pappy 15. And then I'm going to crack that one open. We've got another bottle that's coming. So that's when I'm going to open that one up. So there's that. Justin asked why he wasn't invited. So he's a little sad about that. So you also entered a bourbon blind taste competition. Tell us about that. What was that all about?
I was about 60, 70 days into 100 days of bourbon. And I love Bardstown Bourbon Company. We visited them in 2018. They had just opened and their distillery is gorgeous. It's like the Apple Store of distilleries. It's just beautiful. Have you been there? I mean, it's gorgeous.
I have not been to Bardstown, no.
Oh, it's just so beautiful and so, very modern and it's not old wood. It's all just so modern and beautiful. So, and we got some really good bourbon there and they were all over Instagram. And I had picked up some of their own new bourbon that I really liked, the Fusion series and the Discovery series and some of their finished bottles. So I was following them on Instagram and they posted this World's Top Whiskey Taster contest. And at first I was like, oh, wow, that's awesome. But not me. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing a picture and, trying to figure out what these things taste like and, trying to find my way. And then that was around day 60, 75. And then it got to like day 95. And it was like the last day to enter the contest. And we were actually at the beach with our family. And it's still the middle of COVID. We're not going anywhere. We're not doing anything. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do this. I mean, why not? I had seen some other entries and I thought if they can do this, I can do this. Not having a clue. So I entered. I did a video at the beach. We put it together, photos from my 100 days, and I did a voiceover. I'd never done that before on my MacBook. I had no idea how to do it. It wasn't produced. It was me and my boyfriend trying to figure it out right before dinner, and we posted it. And I got the chance to compete in this Mid-Atlantic region. And we were supposed to go on site to Jack Rose Dining Saloon in DC, which is famous. And they have, 2,700 bourbons there. I mean, I just couldn't wait, but because of COVID, they had to do everything virtual. So then I had to start training for it. And, I had to learn how to identify bourbons, try to identify mash bills, single malt, age, proof, finishes. And I started training.
Wow.
Lots of blind tastings.
Yeah, I was going to say, so it was just a bunch of blind tastings. Is that how you developed that palate?
Yes, absolutely. Lots of training and blind tastings are the best way to do it, because it's just all about taste and palate and recognition, putting real names and like, I know Peggy mentioned this on with you guys on her podcast about, things that taste like food and memories. Taste has and smell have a very strong memory.
Sure.
So it's being able to identify those tastes.
Okay. All right. And now you kind of lead bourbon tasting. So that kind of leads us into the 1st tasting. So walk us through. Now, Magic Man's a noob, but there may be some other noobs that are listening. So walk us through, start from the very beginning, and let's do this thing.
Well, it's easy. Really, it's easy. So, first of all, I think you've got your pours, right? And we're going to start with number 1.
Yep.
Now, don't stick your nose in the glass. Don't ever do that. Burn your nose, burn your olfactory nerve there. So just you do that. You bring it in really slowly. But first, you look at it. I mean, you're thinking about all of your senses. So you're looking at the bourbon. How would you describe the color? Put it up against a white background. You're going to nose the bourbon. And so you're going to see what are all the smells that you can get from it, but not really close. You're going to come in really slow. And then we're going to taste it. Now, let me tell you, when we taste it, you're going to ignore the first 2 sips, completely ignore that first sip is just a burner. Mm-hmm. You're going to forget it. You're not going to judge it. And I don't even judge the second sip. It's the third one that I chew and really judge. And then we're going to see once the juice goes in your belly, there's nothing left in your palate and in your mouth, you're going to judge, what's left. What's the feeling in my mouth? Is it dry? Is it moist? Is it coated? Do I still have flavor, or is it gone like a ghost, and that kind of describes the finish, whether it's short or medium or long or smooth, or, there's a Kentucky hug you can feel in your chest. I think y'all talked about that before. So let's do number 1.
Okay.
Well, first of all, how would you describe how it looks?
It's caramelly, but it's not too dark. Mm-hmm. I would say a medium color. So
color comes from age in the barrel. All that contact with the charred barrel is where your color comes from. Or you can get tricked by that on a finished bourbon. So you have to be careful. But none of these are finished bourbons. These are all straight, Kentucky straight bourbons. So this color is coming from the barrel. Now, this bourbon does have a little bit of, it's a blend. It does have some older bourbons in there, but you can tell there's some young bourbon, and that color is not as dark as it could be.
Okay.
So,
all right. So
to smell it, you kind of bring it in a little slow until the point where you can smell it. And some people, they try both sides of their nose. Sometimes, sinuses, or you can smell more out of one side than the other. So there's, they recommend that you smell out of both sides of your nose. So what do you describe what you smell?
This is one of those like out of left field smells for me, but it smells like cherry Coke to me.
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely.
That's good.
I
actually,
that,
no one ever says that on a piece of paper, but
on
it
the
smells
next
like cherry
one,
Coke to me. Yeah.
On the next one, it's actually described as flat cherry Coke. Not this one, but the next one. So no, that's not out of left field. I mean, some of the training notes that I've learned, one is like rain on concrete, which is not this one, but this one's just classic caramel vanilla.
Yeah.
And that's what's so weird, like producer Brian will say, oh, it's like Coke or cherry Coke. And then everybody's like, oh yeah, I totally get that. Sometimes I just joke around and I say, it tastes like moss on a northern tree that a raccoon just peed on.
Yeah.
But only in December after a fog.
A rabid raccoon.
Yeah. And people are like, I totally get that. I'm like, what are you doing? But
apples for breakfast, right? Yeah, I get it.
That eat apples for breakfast. Yeah.
So do any of you smell like a dark fruit on this one? Maybe like a dark cherry.
It's like a dried cherry is what I get on there.
Yeah. There's a lot of dried cherry in this one.
Very floral almost too.
There's
And that's probably
of the heat off of this too. I don't know what proof or where you started this at.
I haven't even.
I'm getting a sense of.
I'll reveal at the end.
Yeah. It's probably a
So,
100 proof.
you know,
But yeah, the
nose
cherry,
with
I
your
get
mouth open. So we're going to be,
Yeah.
we're going to be now mouth breathers. So nose with your mouth open, bring that over your palate.
Magic Man, what do you get?
An alcoholic beverage.
So Magic Man, ignore this. When you taste this for the
Yeah.
first time, just ignore it. Just let it go. You know, your palate gets in shock.
Man.
And just, you know, get rid of it. It's going to be
Right.
fire and flamey. It's
Are we
hot.
tasting
I
now?
like the way it smells, though. I mean, it's
All right, here we go.
Wow.
Ooh. All right, there's number one. You're right. There's some shock there. Some shock and awe. As old Joe
Well,
W said.
and if when I'm like training or doing some palate testing or blind tasting, I'll try a bourbon that I know very well. And my go-to for that is a Woodford Reserve, just the normal Woodford, just to almost set a baseline. You know, I know the proof, it's a 90.4. It's kind of middle of the road. It's got a lot of flavor in it. So I usually taste that first, just a really small sip, just to prepare my palate. And it gives me a baseline to judge the rest of them by. But for you, it might be, you know, some other bourbon. You can just pick one of your favorites and your go-to that you know very well, that you've, you know, tried a lot. And it's a good baseline.
You know what's funny is I had a couple sips of this, and now I kind of get a woody smell. Like
Absolutely. No,
like,
there's some really old bourbon in this. And so you're going to pick up some tobacco, probably some wood grain and some oak. That tobacco is coming from the wood. It's you know, the flavor. Does anybody get any it's almost like a raisin, like a dried fruit.
Yeah, I get
Caramel.
Raisin so much as cranberry, like dried cranberry or dried over.
Yep.
It's brighter, you know.
Yep. It is a little crisper. Mm-hmm. Any honey?
Yeah, I get honey.
Yeah, there's a honey in the finish, I think, for me.
And how about baking spices? Like, you know, allspice, cinnamon, clove, you know, some of it's that rye. There's some rye in this that's bringing in a little bit of baking spices.
I know some rye right off the top.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to take a guess at the proof of this?
It's probably like a 95, if I had to guess.
You're really close. Yep. So it's 90.4.
Okay.
All right. Now this bourbon doesn't have a true age statement. It is the Woodford Reserve Very Fine Rare Bourbon. So let me show you the bottle here. It is blended with bourbon that it does have some age on it. There's some 17-year bourbon in this, but since they don't put an age statement on the bottle, that means that they've mixed it with some younger bourbon. If it was mixed, and when they're using an age statement, it has to be at least 4 years old to call it Kentucky straight bourbon, or they have to put the age on the bottle if it's less than 4 years old. Okay. When you see a bottle that has no age statement, and they've admitted that they've blended this, it means that there's younger bourbon in here, but it's probably less than 8 years old, but definitely more than 4. They'd have to put 4 on the bottle. They go by the youngest age in the blend. So they've mixed this with some young bourbon, and they also held back bourbon that's been sitting in barrels for 17 years to mix this special Master's Distillers collection.
So it's hard to know the mash bill on this because it's blended.
Well, no, the mash bill's the same. Okay. It's your typical 72% corn for Woodford. 72% corn, 18% rye, 10% barley.
Not rye. I mean, I'm really getting the rye in this.
Mm-hmm.
I get like black pepper at the end too. Like it's almost like for me, like,
and it's the finish for me is a little dry. It's a little dry finish.
Yes. Yep, dry finish.
You know, and it's probably medium. I would consider this a medium finish. You know, it doesn't last forever, but it's pleasant. It leaves me pleasant. And I do get a little Kentucky hug in there with this. even at 90 proof. Normally it's a higher proof that would cost
it
that.
seemed, that's why I went. It felt, maybe it's some of the rye spice in there, but it gave me that. It's not 100. I didn't think it was 90 either.
So now y'all have an idea of our tasting here. If I'm starting out with a Woodford Reserve Very Fine Rare Bourbon, this year's Masters Distillers collection, you know that you're in for a treat, because you go from from your bottom to your top.
Oh, really? Is that how it works?
Yes.
Now I'm going to I've added a drop of water to that just to see.
Oh,
Yep. I put a water droplet in there, and literally it only takes like 2-3 drops, depending on what you have left. That water molecules are much bigger than the alcohol, and it will open up that bourbon. See, now, some bourbons are improved with water and some aren't. It depends on the bourbon.
I like that a lot more. It doesn't nearly have that like punch in my palate nearly as much. So adding that water really mellowed it out for me. I really like that then.
Wow. I don't ever do that. And I got fancy. I got distilled water, so there's no Charlotte Tap.
I know. Look at you.
Don't do Charlotte Tap water.
I got mine out of the bathroom.
I was going to say mine's Concord water.
Yeah, I like it with water so much more.
That tastes more expensive with water in it.
Absolutely.
So this is from Master Distiller Chris Morris. We've met him. I actually, in my phone, I don't know, do y'all have iPhone?
I do.
When I pull up my picture app, and it shows like people and places, there's only a box of 4, and he comes up in my people. Basically, I've taken more photos of him than my own like family and dogs and friends. And it's my mom, my boyfriend, and him.
How does your boyfriend feel about
that? He's conflicted. I'll be honest with you. No, we spent a day with him at the distillery with one of these master distillers courses that they put on. And just, he's fantastic. I fell in love with him. He's such a nice man and so brilliant. I mean, he's been working in bourbon for 45 years. His palate's trained, he knows what he's doing, and he's just putting out a tremendous product. So, and I wasn't paid to say that. I just really like him.
Well, I think
more caramel also, by the way, after adding water to that.
You add that water. It's way more mellowed out to me, which I'm okay. I like that much better. Much better. So also in the packet of amazing stuff that you gave us a coaster that says the Springfield Bourbon Society.
That's right.
There we go. Tell us about that.
I'm a bit of a social butterfly. So when quarantine happened and I started this bourbon thing, at the time I didn't know it was going to be 100 days of bourbon initially. But our neighbors, we asked them to meet us outside one night for drinks, socially distanced. And, this is the throes of COVID. And we were talking about it. And I told her, I said, well, I'm doing this bourbon thing. I'm taking a picture and I'm doing a review and, telling her about how we were spending some of our time over here. She says, well, we have a lot of neighbors that love bourbon. Well, we're new to the neighborhood. We hadn't met anybody yet. We'd been here 6 months when COVID happened. And we live in Springfield. It's a golf course community. It's a lot of houses. There's a lot of activities before COVID. And I was like, oh, well, is there a club or is there, something I can join? And she's like, well, no, it's just these guys and they just get together. So I kind of put a note out on our little Facebook page for our neighborhood and said, hey, I'm going to create a group. And I had a college student create a logo for me. I named it. And then immediately some of the guys that were doing this informally, just a few of them, joined in with me and invited all their friends. And now we have like 119 members. Wow. We do bottle giveaways almost every month, and about 6 or 8 events a year.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So during COVID, last April, we just met up at the pavilion outdoors. It was cold, brought our bottles and our glasses and just, 6 feet apart and just stared at one another. I was like, hey, I'm doing 100 days of bourbon. Can I borrow some bourbon? Because at the time I didn't have all this bourbon,
Okay.
I was going to run out, until I started buying more online. And then, so they would drop bottles for me. My neighbor up the street dropped Stag Junior. He didn't even know me. And he brought me a Stag Junior and dropped it at our door,
Cool.
And so I left him with one of our prized bottles. And then, we've been trading around ever since.
Wish I had neighbors like that.
But it's been a lot of fun. It's been a great way to meet people and get to know our neighbors. And it's been really, really good for us.
You mentioned kind of a key word is guys, and we don't see a lot of women in bourbon, or at least the circles that I run with. And we talked to Peggy Stevens, and she, she's creating the Bourbon Women's Society. Yeah. But it seems like that's really okay. So it feels like that's starting to become like I don't want to say a glass ceiling, but that's kind of broke at this point. Like there's a lot of women that love bourbon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cause now that I'm doing this on Instagram, and I had an Instagram account before this, but I didn't really do anything with it. I don't take a lot of photographs, but with this, I really got into it. And then you start going down the rabbit holes of, well, let me see what else this distillery is doing, or the distiller, or the people that market their bourbon. And you start following all these people. And honestly, I see a ton of women in bourbon. And awesome. I mean, some of them actually have clothes on. I mean, it's just fantastic. Fantastic. I'm proof you can drink bourbon without, with a top on.
Well, there you go.
Can't say
by the end of this, Magic Man's gonna not have a top on, so you can look forward to that.
Yeah. I'm like, you can show a glass of bourbon without showing anything else, but it's no, really. I mean, it's sure. I see a lot of women and drinking bourbon and sharing their stories online, and we have several in our group here in the neighborhood. Nice. It's just, before it was formalized, it was just kind of a couple of guys getting together,
Right. So. Yeah, even my wife mentioned it. I didn't even think about it, but you don't see a lot of bourbons that are named after women. Like you have E.H. Taylor and Basil Hayden, and more all these Blantons. Like they're all named after men.
Old dead guys.
Old white dead guys for the most part.
True. Yeah.
And but you're starting to see that. Like I saw Josephine, and you start seeing a little bit more. FEW, from what I understand, is named after a female. So we're starting to see a little bit more of that. So. That's good stuff.
Well, and I mean, look at the female master distillers that are coming up through the ranks.
Absolutely.
And they're producing some fantastic bourbon. At Woodford Reserve, Brown-Forman, Castle and Key. I think, is it Jack Daniels that just announced their new master distiller? I think she's a female. I think it's Jack Daniels. It was just announced like this week. But it's just really, I think it's becoming a lot more balanced.
Yeah.
For everyone.
And so you're doing these tastings for folks. What do you love most about doing that?
Well, I haven't. I started this when I got my certified bourbon steward online. They have an executive course that you go in person, but because of COVID, I haven't done that in person. You go to Louisville and you spend the day.
Right. We're going to do it together at some point.
Absolutely. It's an intensive course, but I did the online version to help me prepare for the contest. And, we talked about Watchman Cigars. Leon reached out to me, and just from seeing me on Instagram, and said, "Hey, let's get together." He said, "I have a lot of women and groups approaching me that want to do bourbon tastings for women and pair with cigars, and I smoke cigars." And I said, "Well, that sounds great, but I'm not qualified. I have nothing that tells me I'm qualified to walk anyone through anything other than drinking a lot of bourbon." Sure. So that he kind of said, "Well, do this thing, get your certified bourbon steward." And I did. And, we might talk about doing something, but then I just kind of practiced on friends and family, and practiced on my employees and people at work. So, we do happy hours and because we work all over the country, and I carried 2 groups of 20 each through a bourbon tasting. Some people had tried bourbon before. Some people are brand new, never tried. So I've done some online and have done a few other groups. But it's not a business or anything like that. It's just something I do for fun. But it's just, it's spending time with people doing this, having a conversation, getting to know you, telling stories, and sharing a glass of bourbon.
I had a friend of mine. She came up with her husband, which I've never met before, and they came up this past weekend. And he wasn't a bourbon guy. At least, like, he would drink old fashions, but that was kind of the extent of it. And I was like, well, let's kind of talk about bourbon, and he loves information, and I was just feeding him like left and right. What's bourbon? All this kind of stuff, and he was just soaking it up. And he loved the story about bourbon and, kind of where it came from and why and then that kind of stuff. And then like we went through probably about 10 to 12 bourbons, and he was like, this is amazing. And he was kind of doing the same thing of like, we started off with basil, and we ended with Weller Special Reserve. So like we went through a pretty good gamut, and he was like, oh, I can taste this, I can taste that. And it was really cool just to watch his eyes like, oh, I get this, so, just doing that was just really awesome. And so I can understand that. It's fun.
I'm a firm believer that there's a bourbon for every palate. You just have to find it. And, you're not going to always find it, going to the liquor store, that can get a little expensive. I mean, obviously you have to go probably to a bar and, try a few. And all the bartenders that I know and the places that I go, they will let you taste a couple or 3 little sips before you commit to like a, a $10 or $20 pour. And that's a great way to taste a few bourbons. It's, they'll give you a little taste before you spend a lot of money. Yeah.
I've just been buying the whole thing and seeing if I like it.
Yeah. Or I go to Biggin's house and
well, and that's what I do. I have people come over, even with COVID. I had Leon. I'd never even met Leon. I said, Leon, just come by the house. Let's drink some bourbon. Let's get to know each other. And, boyfriend's like, who's coming to our house in the middle of a global pandemic? Some random dude on Instagram. You have no idea how many times I've done that. It's a little scary.
He's bringing cigars, probably. So.
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
he didn't. As a matter of fact, I had to go buy them. Yes. As a matter of fact.
We're going to call him out right here on the show. Leon. What up, man? Why
you got my water in one of his glasses? So,
All right, let's move to old number 2. What do we got here?
All right.
Here we go. Start.
So how does it look? Doesn't this looks older than the last one?
This looks much older. Yeah.
A little darker for sure.
A lot darker. Yeah. This one's a treat.
It's probably going to be in the barrel a whole lot longer.
I guess
this one's going to be a little hot.
Some floral.
Like, what's the color? Like, I don't know how to. The color is the thing that really, unless it's like lighter or darker, they all look like bourbon to me. That's the thing. I don't. Look
it's better if you compare 2, and if you compare 2, the problem is a lot of these are the same age.
That means
that's why the color is very similar.
So was I supposed to not finish that last one? I didn't spit it out either. So
how would you? To me, this one's amber. It's very amber. That's how, or a dark honey. It looks like honey to me.
Okay, I'm gonna go with my gut
because
my brain said amber, and I said, "Shut up, brain."
No, there's a little red tint to it.
Okay,
I like that.
When I'm doing a tasting, I give people some descriptive words for them to find kind of, oh, this is what this is.
Now, far away, I'm getting a lot of ethanol, but when I bring it in, it's more flowery. I'm going back with the flowers again.
Yeah, flowers.
Honeysuckle? Anybody? I want to say banana again, but I feel like
yes, bananas.
There's some bananas
absolutely
on there, but it's not baked bananas so much. It's like banana.
It's not bananas Foster. No.
It's just a ripe banana.
It's like bananas and cream.
Yes.
I didn't get the creamy.
Oh, man.
How about chocolate? Does anybody smell a little bit of chocolate? Chocolate,
like
coffee,
milk chocolate. I don't get it.
Or mocha.
I'm not getting the mocha. I'm getting more banana.
I'm getting
banana.
I
definitely smell banana. All right, so I'm just going to warn you. This one's a higher proof. It's going to run hot. Ignore that first sip. All right.
I ain't scared.
Cheers. Cheers to y'all.
Cheers to you.
Here's to Southern fried chicken. Here's to Zach's piece.
Oh wow,
that's sweet and hot.
Oh, Mother Teresa, that's a hug.
Did we lose Biggin?
That's a hug from Mike Tyson. Oh yeah, that's a Mike Tyson hug. Ryan, you okay?
Warm.
I'm good.
Listen, this one is so flavorful. It's like a bomb.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot. lot going
There's
on
a
there.
lot going on there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So this is
Okay.
also a Chris
salted
Morris.
caramel. I'm getting salted caramel on that.
Oh.
The taste.
Man, you're
Yeah.
so good at this.
So it is. But I wrote down buttery caramel. Absolutely.
You're so good.
Almost
at
like a
this.
caramel sauce.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I want to put this on some ice cream.
I'm gonna try the
How
water
about
thing.
raspberries? You may get raspberries on this. That tart.
Okay. Yeah, like
That
in the middle there, the middle of your tongue, there's a little bit of raspberry.
Yep. Oh wow.
Are you okay?
Yeah. There's so much going on. I'm like,
This is
It's-
awesome.
my tongue is like on ADD. Like, where do you go? Where do I go? I'm out of here.
Oh wow, that is. I like that.
Hey,
Mhm.
if you do the water thing, it kind of cuts the bite
Yeah.
out
Heat
of
a
it.
little bit.
Yeah.
This one is a little hot. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you this is 125.6 proof.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was a big step up. My apologies.
No.
What I did is I grouped the two from Chris Morris together. So
So this
the
is
first
Woodford
one was
as well.
no, that's the first one was Woodford Very Fine Rare.
Mhm.
This one is, I don't know, can y'all see that?
Old Forester.
Holy moly!
It's the new one. Hold on, maybe that's a little too bright.
That's the 150 or the birthday. What?
This is the 150th anniversary.
Okay.
This is batch one. They did 3 batches. This is batch one, which is it's fewer barrels, but a pretty strong one. Not the
Magic Man.
highest in proof.
That explains some
Can y'all
things.
see that? Let's
Yeah.
see.
No,
There
we
go.
got it.
Okay.
I'm gonna pour this back in the glass and save it for a while.
Right. What am I doing? Why did I do such a big pour? Magic Man, this is a very hard to find bourbon. Like this is some top notch.
It's not real.
This is an
It doesn't
honor.
exist.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is an honor. You're right. Wow. Like I don't think I've ever tasted anything like this. Like where it's
It's
just
fantastic.
all
It's
over.
fantastic. It's fantastic. It really
Huh.
is. It's a good one. And the finish is it's not terribly long, but it doesn't leave me dry.
Mhm.
It's pleasant. I had like
floral note
wild
in the finish.
cherry, there's some a little bit of oak in there, some cinnamon,
Yep.
almost like a pink peppercorn.
That's so unique and
It's
Wow.
delicious.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So he's
Thank
one of my
you.
favorite master distillers. These are 2 of my favorite pours. So I've grouped these 2 together. This is Chris Morris, and our next 2 pours are going to be a different master distiller.
okay.
Now,
Wow.
these 2 have no age statement. So what that tells you is, I mean, Woodford tells you there's at least 17-year-old bourbon in this very fine rare bourbon, but they're blending it and mixing it with younger bourbon. And that younger bourbon wasn't at least 8 years old, or they would have listed it, because you get more money if you can put 8-year or more on a bottle.
Mm.
So they probably have some 6-year, 7-year bourbon in there mixed with that 17. Well, Old Forester is also Brown Foreman. It's also Chris Morris. He didn't put an age statement on this either.
Biggin, did you do any water in this one?
Not yet, but Old Forester is also Woodford. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's
Foreman.
Brown Foreman, and it's still Chris Morris. Yeah.
Do I need to put some water in it?
I'm just asking if you did it.
No.
This is one of those you get
Magic
this kind
Man
of
did.
bottle, and I go, I don't want to dilute this at all. I just
I'm
want to
gonna-
take
I'm
it
gonna
as
do
it
it.
comes. You know,
It's
I'm gonna do it.
delicious.
Well,
it's so good, and
yeah,
I'm
like-
not a. Yeah.
like I said, I did it, and it took some of the bite out of it.
Can't do it.
Sometimes it really opens it up and changes the entire flavor
Yeah.
profile.
I don't want.
That's why I want to do that.
It's
I love
good.
this. I really like this. I'm gonna
I had a friend of mine who,
moment of silence.
a friend of his had this bottle, and he said it was 150-year-old bourbon. That's
No.
not the case.
No, it's
Like-
not.
There wouldn't be anything left at 100.
There's nothing left. Yeah.
Aged
There's
for
barely
150.
anything left in a 20-year bourbon. It's in a barrel. It's less than 10% that's left in the barrel.
Really?
Yeah, it's tiny
Holy
amounts.
cow.
Yeah. And honestly, that, when you go to Kentucky and they walk you through all of this, and there is a sweet spot with bourbon. And you can get bourbon that's too old. It's just
Mhm.
dusty. It's dusty. It's got a
Yeah.
lot of stuff in it from the barrel. And, you have to be really careful with those old bourbons.
I would tell you, don't put water in it.
Did you?
I would
did.
say the same thing. I would say don't water it.
I just was wondering. I could see it doing something, but I don't ever change.
I get
It's
way
just
more.
so
I get
delicious.
more acetate through that.
So good.
It's delicious.
Yeah,
It's so
don't
good.
do that. But Magic Man, you liked it with.
Oh, listen, y'all. We haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet.
Oh,
Yeah, I liked it. I like it with and without it. It changed the experience a little bit when you add the water to it. That's all.
Yeah,
to me.
So Big mentioned that this might be a thing here. He gave me a little.
I gave him a heads up,
and I thought it was going to be the surprise at the end. So like the last one, like that's where I thought this was going. And when it's number 2,
yeah.
I mean, okay.
You just wait.
Buckle up, guys.
You just buckle up, baby. Buckle up.
Producer Brian, you're gonna.
We're
have
Smokey and the Bandit, baby.
Yeah.
Eastbound and down.
You're gonna have a long show to edit, Producer Brian.
Yeah, say Producer Brian, where's that Hell Yeah Brother now?
I'm gonna cut the Zoom link and just throw it up there.
There you go. That's fine. So what does bourbon mean to you, Tanya? Like, what does it mean? Like at the core of bourbon, what does it mean to you?
Well, I mean, to me, it's spending time with people that you love, or new people that you've met, and you're getting to know them. You know, you can sit down and have a glass of bourbon with somebody, and by the end of that, you know that person, and you know whether or not you want to spend more time with them.
That is
you
true.
really do. And so it is a connection. It's stories. You know, I can tell you everyone that's been in this house this year where we've come in and had bourbon and had a good time. And those moments have been extremely rare this year, which is so unfortunate, but it has meant the world to me. Anyone that would come in and, you know, risk. I mean, our house is pretty open. You can get 6 feet in the kitchen here, but you know, anyone that's willing to come in and sit down or have a glass or have one on the back deck or meet up at the pavilion, you know, it's just really it's gotten me through this year. It's gotten me through COVID with a little bit of sanity left, for someone who's very social and who needs interaction with people. But to me, it's connection.
Absolutely.
It's funny you say that.
I've never watched in this class.
I was just talking with somebody earlier today, and we were saying about how this whole isolation from COVID, even the introverts are like, okay, that's enough now.
Oh, y'all,
like
you just have no idea.
A lemon on just the empty glass.
Yeah.
It's like a lemon peel or a lemonade.
Listen,
kind of feel. Here's
what I love to do after having some bourbon or blind tasting. I'll leave the glasses near the sink and just let them sit overnight and come back the next morning. And oh my gosh, some of the really good bourbons smell really good after just sitting in the glass. And, you know, I mean, really good bourbons are like, wow, they still smell really good. And then ones that are kind of like not so great, they're rancid. I mean, they don't smell good at all. I mean, especially in the morning, you know, but I'll leave them out for that purpose and just let them kind of, you know, sit there, especially if it's a new one. I want to see, because what's left, you know, sits out there and oxidizes in the air, and you can really tell if this is good juice or not. Yeah. That's kind of like the telltale for me.
That's good. I haven't done that before. It's good. What's your day job? What do you do? Because you obviously don't do this for a living, though it would be fun, right?
It doesn't pay enough. You know,
right.
If it just paid more. This is so much fun. No, it's kind of weird. I am in financial services. I've been in this career for about 20 something years, but I determine how long people are going to live for a living.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, I help price mortality for a life insurance company.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my day job.
Wow.
Yeah, this year's been tough.
Yeah.
I'm also responsible for claims for our company, but for life insurance. So I wanted to be a doctor, and you know, I couldn't study hard enough. I literally
Urban.
You know, exactly. Back then it was Crown. I mean, I just could not, you know, sit in my room and study enough. And I thought, what am I going to do? Because I thought I was going to be a doctor. And I left my freshman year at College of Charleston, and my mom said, I have a job interview for you like today. Like I had my car full of my dorm room stuff. and went home, changed clothes, and went to a job interview. And it was for a life insurance company.
Wow.
And so that summer I worked for an underwriter, and they read medical records and look at medical histories and how much you drink, how much you weigh, how you drive, and determine how much you're going to pay for life insurance, how long you're going to live. And I thought, oh my God, this is like Eureka. It looked like heaven to me, and I fell in love with it.
Wow.
And so I changed my major, and I've been doing that ever since.
Wow. I just call them and they just hang up on me and say no. Yeah, there's that.
Listen,
I don't even answer any questions. There's no.
Oh, almost everyone's insurable. It's just how much you got to pay. I mean, that, listen, that's
Sure.
the hardest part, is saying no.
That's the great part of having a corporate job where they give you, that without the EOI. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Those group benefits are great.
God bless a bear. I can't never leave.
Exactly.
So speaking of, so you also smoke cigars. You mentioned that before. How did that start? Did you just like pick it up and be like, hey, I want to start smoking cigars? Or
7, 8, what age is that?
Yeah, right.
Exactly. No. So when I was 19, I dated this guy who's a little older, and y'all, you're going to die laughing. He smoked these little backwoods. Do y'all know those like flavored, like little cigarillo things? They come in a little
They
pack.
have like the wood tip.
No, they're just like nothing.
Were they
Almost
Swisher
like
Sweets?
no, but there's no tip. It's just like
Okay.
raw, And so, and they're all flavored. And so I've never smoked cigarettes. I cannot stand cigarettes or smoking, but he kind of it was just like a flavor thing. It really tasted good. So I smoked a few there, but it was like not my thing. And then sometime around, I don't know, the late 2000s, I grabbed somebody's cigar out of their hand, I think, and smoked it. And I was like, you know what? This is really good. And that's how I started smoking cigars. And then when I was living in Greenville before I moved to Charlotte, I was part of a group called Cigar Therapy. And it was a networking group put on by Phil Yanov. And he runs Tech After 5, which is here in Charlotte as well. He has meetings all over, but it's Cigar Therapy. So it's 4:00 on Thursdays, and it was networking group. It was always the best group. Like, it just felt like I was sitting with the smartest people in town. And we would have a question of the day. You would introduce yourself, what you do, what you're drinking, what you're smoking. And it was from 4 to 6, boom. And then you were done. And it was like the best time ever.
Wow.
And I have missed it so bad. But what COVID brought me is the ability now, we do it on Zoom.
Oh,
so
okay.
now I'm not always able to log in because of work, because it starts when I'm still working. But I mean, every time that I get to log in, it's just like the biggest treat ever. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Any cigar pairings that you absolutely love with bourbon?
One of my favorite cigars is, I love Davidoff. I love Davidoff Special R. One of my favorites. Now, if it's a special occasion, I've got plenty of time, I like to smoke the Anniversario #1. It comes in a wooden tubo. It's like this long. It's a long cigar, but it's really, really good. Like, that's the New Year's Eve cigar, the birthday cigar. You're going to be in a hot tub for 2 hours. That's your cigar.
Nice.
But any bourbon, all bourbon's good with cigars, but I love, one of my favorite things to drink with a cigar is Grand Marnier. I love orange, the flavors of orange and orange zest, and it's just delicious.
Like straight?
Yeah, just straight. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. It's fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
I just put it like in an old fashioned or something.
Back when I was younger, I would even put the cigar, like dip the tip of the cigar into the Grand Marnier and then smoke it. And that was actually delicious. I mean, it would ruin a cigar, but it actually tasted very good. It was delicious.
That's funny.
I think that's the redneck in me, but anyway.
Yeah. I remember somebody told me dip the cigar in the bourbon.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so weird. And
just a little bit. You just dip it a little bit.
And I was doing it. And then I tried to light it, and I was like, I think I did the wrong end.
Yeah.
So I've learned my lesson since then. You dumbass.
That's tough.
Don't do that. I do love a Four Roses single barrel. That to me with a cigar is just perfect.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Listen, Four Roses single barrel is very hard to beat. I mean, it is. Listen, it wins out in most blind tastings of mine, because it's just that bourbon right there is like my palate. It's just that everyday delicious. You can find it. It's reasonable. It's delicious.
Yeah.
And it's Jim Rutledge, who we're going to taste here in a minute.
Okay, well, let's go. Or let's go to 3. What do we got here?
Oh my God, this is such a treat, y'all. And let me tell you, this bourbon is rare. It's a single barrel. It's a Jim Rutledge. And I'm just telling you, it's fantastic. It's not Four Roses. It's not Four Roses.
I know what it is. I'm waiting for producer Brian.
So good. Well, first of all, what does it look like?
It's less darker than the other one.
Yeah.
It's like amber, but it's like a cloudier amber almost. Like I don't know, maybe it's just the light is left here. But
yeah, it's definitely lighter.
Orange. It's more orangey.
It is orangey. Yep.
Okay.
It's a little lighter.
Yeah, I taste the fruit, or I smell the fruity.
I was going to say, it actually kind of smells sweet to me.
Yes, it is. It's like, well, I don't want to give it away, but
it's apples. I got apples on that right off the top.
I get like buttery apples, like
fresh,
cooked.
It's cream.
Food.
Like
yeah,
I get like cut, like a yellow, like a golden delicious, like just sliced.
Oh yeah. What about
first hit?
Have y'all ever had rum raisin ice cream?
I don't know that I have.
Rum raisin bread pudding.
I can get that.
I could get that vibe here with like a burnt sugar kind of, or like a brown sugar raisin flavor.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, this is a treat. This is like one of my favorite bourbons, and I'm so like, it's so hard to find. I've had 2 bottles. This is my second bottle. He only made like 900 of these or 1,200 of them. It's a single barrel, so it may not even be that many. Oh, my boyfriend was like, you gave them some of that. And I was like, I know. What am I doing? What am I doing?
So this was a smaller pour in the little bottle. I will say that.
It was.
Yeah,
I may have.
Just slightly less.
Come on,
like
I may have been like
quarter ounce. I was like, I bet this is good stuff.
Let her be. Thank you. Let's appreciate what we have.
I'm not judging.
What a jerk move.
I'm just saying. I noticed there was less of it.
I'm teasing. No, it shouldn't have been. No,
it's okay. I do not judge.
Oh, sweet Lord.
I'm not.
Do you know what this is for me?
Mine.
This is a creamy vanilla milkshake. Okay. Do y'all get any of that?
Yeah.
Any of that?
I definitely get creamy, and I get vanilla. I don't know where you're getting your milkshakes from, but I want to know where that is. Oh my gosh. See, for me, this is my wheelhouse. Like I like this.
So Brian, you're not faking it. This is good. You like it?
I am liking it. I need another.
Yeah, get you another sip. Ryan, what about you? Magic Mike. Is it Magic Mike?
Just call him Magic Mike.
Magic Man. Oh, that's right. You're Magic Mike.
Magic Man.
Wow. This is creamy.
But I was thinking Magic Mike as an MIC, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to have so many names by the end of this show.
If I'm anybody from Magic Mike, I'm Gabriel Iglesias, the DJ.
Why have you watched that movie?
I have not watched the movie, but I have watched Gabriel talk about making the movie.
Stop it. Mm-hmm. And we're done.
And
oh my God, this is so good. I mean, y'all, let me just tell you what this. So this is Jim Rutledge. He's been doing bourbon. He started in R&D in 1966. He's been doing bourbon for 55 years. Okay, the man has a honed palate. He is like my king. So he started his new label, and he's all over Kentucky picking, doing barrel picks, trying to build up his, while his bourbon is aging. He's trying to find barrels. I don't know how many barrels he was in, and he found this barrel. It's a single barrel, and said, wait a minute, stop. All this goes into one bottle. And it's like damn honey hole. This stuff right here is just straight from Jesus. This is straight from Jesus right here.
I'm pretty sure that if you have this bourbon with Chick-fil-A at the same time, that calls him down.
I was going to say, yep. The Lord's bourbon with the Lord's chicken.
I forgot to write down what I said before.
During church.
It's the rapture. Oh,
there's a note I can't define in this. It's in the fruit spectrum. It's like that. Where'd my wheel go? Let me look at my notes. Maybe this.
Yeah, look at your notes.
Um,
Is it a pear? You've already said apple.
Tropical. I don't think it's coconut. There's a brighter. I feel like maybe it's apricot or something. I can't figure it out. Or something I haven't had.
So it's not a berry. Is it Coke? It's not coconut.
But hey, Brian, what about like at the very end? I almost get like a pineapple.
Maybe it's at the very like back.
The very
last,
end.
Last thing you hit before it goes down. It might be peaches actually, like peach cobbler.
Oh, listen.
I think that's
listen, he's known for his peaches. Let me just tell you. And they're like stewed peaches, like when they get all like warm
it's like you eat peach cobbler, but you don't get any of the peach. It's just like the biscuit part and the creamy
part. Yeah. It's
that
creamy part.
Like it has the hint of the peach because they were living together.
Yeah.
But it's the pastry gooey part. That's what I'm tasting in the back of my
They were living together. They touched.
Yeah.
They spent the night together.
That's right.
They had some hello time.
They had some relations
show.
there. Yeah.
Okay, here's a completely noob comment. So I just drank a little bit, like just a few drops to go over my tongue, and it kind of just, it's almost like it just melted over my tongue.
Yeah.
And
stuff's delicious.
Yes, it was delicious, and it was a wonderful experience.
So I'm just going to tell you, Ryan, if you're a newbie, you've been ruined. Like nothing is going to taste like this.
Screwed.
You're going to be hunting this bourbon the rest of your life.
I just wrote
I'll
down
just give
all
you
my
the
tasting
address
notes.
to my house. So when you lose your mind, you can come here and have a sip.
Okay, thank you.
Because you're going to hunt. You're literally going to hunt for this the rest of your life.
Yeah.
This is a lifetime bourbon, and there's only one barrel of it. And I've had 2 bottles. There's, I don't know, 1,000 out there. I mean, it's just freaking delicious.
I just wrote down vanilla ice cream on peach cobbler. That's the.
All right. Do y'all want to know what it is? Okay.
You ready for this?
Oh God.
This is Cream of Kentucky, 12.3 year. Think about how specific and intentional he was. He didn't just say round down to 12.
12.3.
12.3, 12 years and 3 months, single barrel. Freaking Jesus water. Yeah. This is water straight from God.
What did I have of you had was it 12 or 13 you had?
I just had the regular cream of Kentucky.
Is that all it was? Just
regular? But they all have an age. It's 11.5, 13, 12.3.
It was 11.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good. It's not like this one.
Well, the 11.5 is like, to me, the best bourbon I ever had.
Yeah. Until this one.
Now it's the 3rd best bourbon I've ever had. So I just want to say that.
Brian has been ruined for the rest of his life.
I've been ruined.
You just wait. Yeah. Ryan's going to be searching for these bourbons for the next 20 years. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, let me see what I need to tell you about this one. This was a honey hole. The proof is 102. So not a high proof bourbon. 12 years and 3 months. I mean, think about that. He's hunting bourbon all over Kentucky or Indiana. I'm pretty sure this is Kentucky, I think. I don't know the mash bill. It's undisclosed. And he finds out of everything he's tasting after 55 years of training his palate. And he says, wait a minute, this is all by itself. We're going to bottle this as it is. And he may have proofed it down just a little bit. They typically come out of the barrel a little hotter than that. But at 12.3 years, it may have been, I think all of his are 102. So he's got to be proofing it down a little bit. So he prefers 102. And you got Chris Morris that prefers 90.4. So they're making some adjustments there with that Kentucky water.
So out of the 2 bottles that you've had, were the 2 bottles the same or were they different?
Yeah,
okay.
No, they all come from the same barrel.
Okay. I didn't know if there was a single barrel that was like 12.10 or something like that you got.
No.
Okay.
And listen, I hunt these down. I hunt these down like, like like Ray Donovan. I'm hunting these down like Ray Donovan.
I'm going to ask you off air which websites you search, but
don't go anywhere.
Well, see, all of my websites deliver to South Carolina. And if you guys live in North Carolina, it's going to be a whole different set of websites.
South Carolina's not very far.
I know. You can deliver to
can
my
usually-
I
house.
have people. I know people
yeah.
in South Carolina. We can.
I got
All right,
family in
let's-
South Carolina.
Okay. All right.
Greenville.
We'll
I'm
kind of
getting
move
the
along.
wood notes on the finish, like that's where I'm getting the.
Okay.
If there's any oak happening, that's where I'm tasting it.
Oh, that
Okay.
finish is smooth.
Yeah, it's
It
like
really is.
long.
Yeah.
it's just.
Yep.
All right,
I
my
just-
board. Am I
it's
putting y'all
gone,
to
and
sleep
I'm-
yet? Is
No, no,
everybody
no, no, no.
asleep? We're good.
No, no, no,
Good?
we're
I'm gonna
just-
be sad. I'm sad already because I already drank two.
What's a bourbon that you have yet to try that you would love to try?
Oh my gosh, that's a hard question. Everyone's on this Pappy thing, right? Everybody's hunting down
Sure.
Pappy.
Yep.
I've had Pappy 15. I've never had Pappy 23. I've had the opportunity to taste it at bars and different tastings, but I didn't choose to purchase it. I'd love to see what all the hype is about. I really would. I mean, why not? I'm not going to pay $3,000 for a bourbon I've never tasted. I'm just not going to
Sure.
do it.
Right.
But I would have to say the one that I'm more excited to try, if I can get my hand on it, is the William LaRue Weller, the BTAC, the Buffalo
Oh.
Trace Antique Collection.
Uh-huh.
I think that's probably better than Pappy. So it's that one.
Is that the one that
That's my
someone over
Chase
here
one.
had, by the way?
I did. So the North Carolina Bourbon Society. I'm not going to give out names,
Yeah.
but somebody from that
Mhm.
is when you go to his house to pick up a bottle,
Mhm.
he says you can have one lifetime pour, like your bucket list bourbon.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's got Pappy 23. He's got everything. Like
Mhm.
when I say
Well,
everything,
there's a huge library. The whiskey library is in Charlotte. It's not him. There's a
no,
huge whiskey library in Charlotte.
No, it's not
Okay.
him.
no,
All right. It's
but,
like part of the
it's,
whiskey thieves on
It's
Instagram. Yeah.
unofficial library.
Okay. This is unofficial.
Yeah.
Clearly, I need to be
It's Dark
introduced.
Web Library.
Clearly, I need to be introduced. Okay.
Yeah. And so he's like, you can have a pour. And so I picked the William LaRue Weller at 19.
Oh,
that's-
man.
That's something.
Was it
like-
good? So I'm hitting the spot, right? I'm doing the right thing.
I mean, the only thing that would have made that better is if I had and I'm not a steak guy, but if you had a giant steak there and I had that with it, would just be like perfect.
Oh, man.
But it's completely different. It's a completely different bourbon than I've ever had before.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That last, I would eat a ribeye with that last bourbon. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
can I say that on?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
did. So that's okay.
Absolutely. That would be a yes.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I'm not here
Yeah, I
to
was
get
gonna say,
fined.
we got a recording of me saying "Hell yeah, brother." So
Oh, yeah. Oh, we can. Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
There
Heck
it is.
yeah.
So, we talked about just turning into a bourbon podcast. If we can make that happen, they'll send us BTAC to taste. I feel like from Buffalo Trace.
I feel like
haven't
you
seen
might have to
good
take your
enough
shirt
numbers.
off for that, though. I'm just saying.
do
You
that.
might have to
I'll
remove your
I'll
shirt.
do it.
Yeah.
I'll listen.
For BTAC, I'll do a whole
I'll
lot of
stick
stuff.
to this chair for the BTAC. I'm just saying.
Listen, I'm part of the neighborhood bourbon society turned into a guy in my neighborhood going, listen, you need to be a part of this other little group I'm in called Drammers Club. And it's invite only. So, no jerks allowed, invite only. So I joined and we're doing they get together and they do barrel picks and they have master distillers come on and we do Zoom calls and do tasting. So we're actually having one here Tuesday. It's Barton Distillery. So it's all the 1792, including the 225th anniversary. So I've got about 10 drammers in Charlotte coming here for that on Tuesday night.
I like 1792. I really do.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely. Oh, and Bardstown, bottles that. I don't know if they distill it, but they bottle it. So
Any
it's
questions
delicious.
in the chat? I'm just asking.
I don't have anything on here right now.
Okay, cool.
Do we have? Is it just us? Nobody's watching.
It's
It's just us.
us.
Nobody's
No, there's
watching.
people are watching, but there's
They're
Oh,
watching.
really?
No
yeah.
questions.
I'm
There's
so
no,
sorry. I'm so sorry, guys, because you're not getting.
They're
this.
like,
And
who is
like,
this woman? Why do
if you're
y'all have
if
her
you're
on
bourbon
here?
people.
No, they're saying lucky.
I
Is there-
acknowledge it, man.
Is there a bourbon that you really were like super excited about and you had it and you're like, this is crap?
Oh man, that list is too long.
Okay.
Listen,
All right.
when you do 100 days of bourbon
Right.
and you buy bourbon online, you're getting it shipped and it's coming in. and you taste it and you're like, man, this is a dog. Like, this is bad. I don't like writing bad reviews. I don't. Probably the most negative review I've written is the one I wrote from the redemption that I bought at Saturday with you. I mean, that's probably the most negative I've written a review.
And it wasn't bad. It was just like, this other one's better than that.
Well, if you're going to come out with a rum cask and you know that Angel's Envy owns the corner on that, you gotta do something. Like, it's gotta be more than 3 months.
If you shoot for the king, you better not miss, right?
I mean, they're aging that stuff in 18 months and you're 3 months. Boy, that was a big difference. Yeah. So I just, it is when you're writing reviews and doing tasting notes, because sometimes it's just not my palate. Like, there really is no bad bourbon. Well, there's maybe one, but there's just no bad bourbon. It's just, some of it's just not my palate. I'm not a big smoky person. If it's real peaty, smoky, Scotch, gin, or gin-like, we talked about that Saturday when we were walking around Southern Spirits. If it's real eucalyptus, mint, heavy, or heavy on that greenery, I'm probably not a huge fan. It doesn't mean it's bad bourbon.
Right. Just not your
It's just not my bourbon. Yeah.
My problem is when something gets priced north of like $70 and it turns out to be like,
oh man, and that's a disappointment, isn't it?
Like
I've done that.
That Widow Jane Lucky 13. Remember that one, Diggin? He hated it. It was fine. It was like back shelf. You had to like ask for it. It was okay, but it wasn't worth $90.
No,
like
there's a lot of bourbon out there that right now is priced pretty high. That is probably worth about half. Truly.
Absolutely.
Now, not this that we're tasting.
No.
It's not priced high enough,
apparently. Producer Brian's ready to give his right arm for the rest of that.
So pick your parts. I don't care if you have any of them.
Well, I'm glad my William LaRue Weller was a good decision.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's a great one. How do you prefer to drink your bourbon?
I like it neat or an ice ball.
Just neat or an ice ball.
And let me tell you, so this thing that I did, this 100 Days of Bourbon, I was feeling myself because you don't necessarily, I love bourbon, but I don't drink bourbon every night, So by like night 60, I'm like, oh my God, I got to taste bourbon tonight, like 60 days in a row,
I don't understand.
So, and I would like take a little, like, what's the most minimum sip I can take to actually write tasting notes. And so I did buy myself an ice baller.
Okay.
I did. But let me tell you, so I've learned my lesson. I'm gonna tell everybody, save your money. You can buy those $9 set off of Amazon or Crate and Barrel. It's literally the same. You get the same ice ball. Okay, $9 or lots of money. $9. Go with the $9 ball. But anyway, that 2.5-inch ball, I love. And I actually have a glass from Nate and Cotterman. I keep it in the freezer, and it has he's blown an ice ball in the middle of the glass, and you keep it in the freezer. It's cold. So I love bourbon out of that glass because it gets cold, but there's no water. There's no dilution. So
that's cool.
I've got an ice baller, and it makes the Death Star.
That's cool. That's cool. That's very cool.
2 of them, actually.
Yeah. That's very cool.
All right. So we're going to go to 4.
Man, y'all are in for a treat. This is a treat.
Let me clear my.
Look how dark that is.
Your boyfriend right now is so mad at us.
Oh my God. He's having to be really quiet.
Yeah.
And entertain the dog and keep her quiet.
Does he want to come on the show?
What color is that?
Hey, boyfriend.
That is
super dark.
Man,
I feel like
it's beautiful.
Producer Brian, you may want to edit this part out, but I feel like my balls are about to drop. There's a show title.
I don't. I got it right.
So I'm going to go ahead and tell you, this is a 13-year bourbon, solid 13 years. Okay.
I feel like that's not old enough for this color.
This is some really special bourbon. This is also Jim Rutledge. Okay.
I feel like this should be like a 23.
Oh, no. So one of my favorite candies is Good and Plenty. I love Good and Plenty. Okay. I do. And so some bourbon, there's an ethanol or there's something in there that tastes like licorice or Good and Plenty to me. And I do love it. I love it when it smells like Good and Plenty.
Whoa, wait a minute. I just got a completely different note the second time.
You're good at this, Brian. You're good.
He's
at
really
man.
good.
Well,
It pisses
so
me
my
off a little
first
bit.
thought was, and I think it was wrong, was caramel apple cider.
Yeah.
But then you said candy, and that messed with my brain.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting like that super sweet.
Like not cotton
it's
candy.
not cotton candy.
No,
It's not
no.
cotton candy. It's like a concentrated version of that I can't put.
Like a
Magic
Jolly
Man, what do you got?
Rancher? Like a Jolly Rancher?
Not even
NutraSweet?
It's just too intense for that. It's like
NutraSweet.
Equal. Sweet and low.
Splenda. What's it? It's like a
Sugar in
circus
the
peanut.
raw.
It's a circus
Sugar and
peanut.
raw.
It smells like a circus peanut.
A circus peanut.
Oh, that's bananas, but it's
Is that what I'm
orange.
getting? Is that what
It's
I'm
orange.
getting?
Is
It's
it?
like It's
Yeah.
like
I just have licorice. I smell
it's
licorice.
it's a stronger version of a circus peanut. I don't get licorice, I don't think, but
Well, not real licorice. The
Oh,
good and
no.
plenty kind that's like sugar coated.
have I had-
The
feel-
purple, they're kind of purple and white. Come in a box.
I know they are. I'm getting so
Yeah.
many different notes, and the nose is all over the place on that. It's all good. It's like the concession stand in the movie theater.
You just wait. And this is beautiful.
All right.
It's so good.
Magic Man, do you get anything out of it besides NutraSweet? I don't know what it is. Oh,
I just lack the experience, the training for.
well, come over and
I'm
we'll
gonna come back to some of the apple.
Yeah.
Listen, this one's hard. This one's hard. I think, I mean, for me, you hit the nail on the head with the apple cider and the caramel
If you had to
and the
remember
vanilla.
they don't make it that way anymore. But Starbucks had a caramel apple cider about
Mhm.
15 years ago.
Mhm.
That's what it smells like to me. It had
Oh,
the whipped
man.
cream with the whipped cream on top, like the whole drink.
Yes.
Little
Okay.
cinnamon,
Yeah, I can get the cinnamon,
caramel, apple, vanilla.
baking spices, just a little
cream.
bit. Yeah.
Oh man, it's Thanksgiving in
Okay.
a glass. That's what it is. It's like Thanksgiving
Ta-
dessert.
Gravy.
Turkey gravy, yeah, sure. Throw that in there too. Why not?
I don't know. Of all the ones that
Giblets.
we've had so far, I like this one the best.
The
You tasted it
taste or
yet?
the smell?
The taste.
Okay. All right.
I mean, this could be a Yankee Candle flavor. Just I'm just saying.
I could make deodorant. Oh, Magic Man, make your wife make soap with this smell.
I wonder if there's a way to do that.
Buy
Boom.
impossible to find bourbon and then turn it into candles. That's what
Okay,
you do.
shameless plug.
Jim Rutledge just basically unfriended me on Instagram.
Oh,
Can you
great.
even do that? He literally just stopped, unfollow, block when you said that. I felt it.
My wife is in the soap and body butter and stuff. She's starting a little side business on that, and I don't know. This would be cool.
I need
I need
some
to
of
tell
that.
her that.
Yeah.
We'll
It's winter. My skin's dry.
We'll buy a Pappy 23 and turn it into a soap. I
There
love
we
it.
go.
We buy all that Duke Cannon stuff, all of it. It's
Yep.
Buffalo Trace and bourbon flavor and campfire, all that good stuff.
All right, I'm ready to taste. All
Mm,
right, here we go.
Let her rip, tater chip.
it's good. It's good. I'm telling you. Does anybody know what it
Oh,
is? Anybody want to take a
gosh.
guess?
It's good.
Second, guys, I gotta solve a problem. No.
So Jim Rutledge has retired from Four Roses, right? And I mean, he brought it back. He brought Four Roses back from the dead. It was bottom shelf. He created the single barrel and the small batch select. There's just to hear him tell that story about how they just kept tasting that distillate to make sure they were getting it right. It's just fascinating to me. That's the person I want to sit down with and drink bourbon with is Jim Rutledge. I guess I'm gonna have to hunt him down in Kentucky. I don't know.
Do I get tobacco from this one? Almost
How
like a
about
leather.
brown sugar? You get brown sugar, maybe some apricot, kind of that,
See, that's on the opposite side of the thing.
not really citrus, but kind of that creamy fruit.
Oh,
Yeah, I can get that as well.
there's some floral stuff happening here.
Yeah.
There's There's not many choices on floral, so
Is
Well,
it potpourri or rose?
I'm not going to call it rose, but whatever's in between, I get that for sure. Is there a nuttiness here at all?
there's definitely a nuttiness. It's what is it? It's
You
almost
listened to our
like
show before?
it's the nuttiness from like burnt, like when you brown butter. You know how brown butter is
Yeah.
nutty
Yep.
in the
Okay.
pan, and you get it like too brown, like where you don't want to put your eggs in it. You know, that is the
Mhm.
taste
Okay.
because it's still a little creamy.
It's almost like a praline kind of vibe.
There you go.
What do you like it?
Yeah. No, I do. I think
It's 113 proof. Okay.
is it
So-
heresy to add some water to it?
No,
Blue Run.
there,
Make it the way
there
you
are
like
no
it, right?
rules.
There's no rules.
So do you see the bottle? So these guys got together. So it's like a Nike designer, Facebook, one of the beginning directors of Facebook, a hospitality executive, political advocate, philanthropist got together, and they hired Jim Rutledge and said, "Find us this bourbon." Created this gorgeous bottle. It's unlike any other bottle that you'll
It is a
find in
gorgeous
Kentucky.
bottle.
They only released this and sold it in Kentucky and Georgia.
Okay.
One of my neighbors was in Albany, Georgia, and he sent a picture and he said, "Hey, have you heard of this?" I was like, "Oh, please grab both those bottles. Get everything that you could buy in Georgia." But he got one, I got one, and it's just fantastic. It is just fantastic. I think they only
Allergies are
made
kicking
like
up.
2,600 bottles.
There's some Fig Newton happening action
Oh,
here too.
It's fig.
yes. Yes. That's perfect.
It's
Fig
fig
Newton.
Newton.
Yep.
You
You
all
get the
right there,
creamy-
Biggin?
You know, my allergies started,
That's
coming
not
up,
good.
and that's not good. Like my eyes.
You might
I
want
know
to
we're-
save your fifth pour until you're more, ready for that. Don't waste it.
So Blue Run. So it's not a Matthew McConaughey pick. So there's that.
No, it is not. No.
No, this is good. I like it. It's really, again, a lot of depth to it, I think. But that praline is perfect.
This is good. I will say I prefer the cream of Kentucky.
Yeah,
better.
the 12.3 year.
For me.
To me, it's better.
This
Absolutely.
is good.
It's just
This is not. I can't.
when you're doing
I'm not
tastings,
complaining.
you try to do low to high. So
Yeah.
the age and the proof are both higher. So
Okay.
I'd get my certified bourbon stewardship revoked if I didn't do that. But yeah, I'm with you.
You're right.
The 12.3
technically,
is
you
king
went
for
up,
me.
Yeah, it's just that's for my palate. That's that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Again,
This Jesus juice. Mhm.
This is really good. This is really good. I really like this. I have trouble with some of the darker flavors when you get into
Mhm.
bourbons. Like I've struggled with some of the Old Forester single barrels.
Mhm.
Finding one I like.
It's
some-
hard to
even
beat that
like
1920 though. That Old Forester 1920 and
I like the
1910
I like the night. Those are the two.
Yep.
That's it.
and
I've-
Statesman. I love Statesman.
I haven't had Statesman. I only had Statesman actually, but
It's so good.
I've-
It's good.
I've tried like 3 single barrels and I couldn't get behind any of them.
Yeah.
The 1910 actually, I've gotten to the point where if I see it, I just get it.
Yeah.
Just 1920 is a little easier to get.
Yeah.
I don't think I've had the 1915.
I keep both of those. Mhm.
Those are good just all the time to have.
Did you say 1915?
Yeah, I don't think I've had that one.
Well, they don't
Yes.
make it. You have to mix the
Oh, is that the
two, and
mix? I think I
and they
heard-
sell you
maybe
a
that's what
label on
someone told me.
Etsy. Oh well, people do it all the
Okay.
time.
Okay, is that
They
what it
mix
is?
the
All right.
two. Yeah, they mix the two
So it's
and create a
imaginary bourbon.
1915.
Okay.
Yeah,
And that's supposed to be good, right? I don't mix bourbons.
I
That's
have not. No,
And yet-
I haven't.
This one, I don't know what it is, but it like gets stuck in the middle of my chest. Like, that's not normal, right? Like, it just feels like it's kind of like it just sits there, and that like I have to drink some water to kind of get it to go down. I don't- that one's weird.
It's just not your bourbon.
Yeah.
I like it. There's some it's very
got-
unique.
Yeah. All right, so we'll finish up because I know we don't have a lot of time. I don't know why producer Brian doesn't have that much time, but I understand.
We're fine. We're fine. I took care of it.
I
have a different issue I need to take care of. So you guys,
everyone's asleep.
Yeah. All right. So can we go to the?
Y'all are going to sleep good tonight. I'll tell you that right now.
About that.
You're going to sleep good tonight.
I'm thinking about going out and getting a cigar after this. So.
All right. So I'm going to my fifth. So Jim Rutledge is the person you'd like to have to drink with.
Oh. So my dad passed when I was 22. Okay. I was young. Okay. He was like 67. He lived a long life. I mean, he would be my ultimate, he would love that. He would absolutely love that I'm doing this.
Yeah.
We would have a blast, but but the living person would have to, I've already had shots with Chris Morris, but Jim Rutledge would be, he would be my hunt. Because to have him sit down and drink, a pour of dram of cream of Kentucky would just be magic for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's
fascinating.
If we can make that happen. How often do you make it up to Kentucky?
Every couple of years. You have to drive, right? It's 6 hours, and it's not a fun drive over the mountain, right? You get to Knoxville, and it's just like, oh my God, over the mountain. Because you're going to bring bourbon home. And if you were going to fly, it's the same time. I mean, from seat to seat, right? It's still 6 hours.
Yep.
So it's just a drive. But I can't wait to get back. I cannot wait to get back.
Oh, love it.
And, when you go and the people that take you through the tastings and the tours, a lot of them are retired. And I've looked at that and said, this is the ideal retirement job for me.
Absolutely.
Like, this is it. I have found it. I just got to find my Kentucky home.
I want to in Bardstown. And we've interviewed a realtor in Kentucky that Ryan Lemon from Kentucky Sports Radio. He can get you a house there.
Exactly.
But I mean, if I could just be the old man security guy that just sits on like the third level at Buffalo Trace and just watches the barrels.
Get in line.
All right, so let's.
I don't make it to Kentucky often enough. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, my grandma would say the same.
I can't afford it.
Boy. All right. Well, we try to go.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm jumping into business. You go ahead.
No, let's go to business.
I want to hear what you're going to say.
I was just going to say we try to go up there every Thanksgiving for, that's where we spend our time. So we'll spend some time, with the family, and then we'll make it, when we come home.
So is your family in Louisville?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Do you have a
Have you been to Angel's Envy there? It's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
I have not. So.
Oh man, it's beautiful.
What are you showing me, Ryan?
I was trying to get a view never mind. Don't worry about it.
No, so I want to do that. And
there's a little bit you can cut out, Brian.
You got it.
I want to go to Mickner's because I haven't been there either. So.
Would you believe that's the one bottle of bourbon I don't own right now? Out of the 250 bottles, I don't have a single Michter's. I've tried one, but it was the lower end one, and I didn't like it. So I'm scared to buy like a higher end one. I don't want to spend that money without tasting it first.
I love the US one, just the standard.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had a bottle of Michter's that I don't like.
Yeah.
I like it.
Really?
Yeah.
I gotta try it again.
Well, come on over.
Listen, the first time I tried birthday bourbon with Old Forester, I didn't like it. It was at a bar, and I was like, no, this isn't my bourbon.
The Old Forester birthday? Is that what you said?
Yes. And this is probably no, not initially. No.
Wow. All right. So this fifth one, I get a lot of cherry from mine.
Let me pull up your notes. Hold on. Let me pull up your notes.
Are these different?
That's.
You're different. There's all different.
Mine smells like pears. So.
Oh no! Now mine smells like pears.
Oh, stop. All right. So let me just tell you. I think you know yours. You know yours, right? Biggin.
I don't think I do.
You have Elijah Craig 23.
Holy
You're drinking
moly.
a 23-year bourbon.
Holy moly.
Yeah. So look at how much we have left. Look, like
not a lot.
Oh my gosh. Look at Brian's face.
So number 5, do each one of us have something different?
You have
do,
something
yeah.
different. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So JT, Biggin, you have Elijah Craig 23,
Holy
90
cow.
proof, 23-year-old. The damn thing is dusty, but it's delicious. And let me tell you, after you take a few sips, add
Yeah.
like two tiny droplets of water. The
Okay.
damn thing will explode
Oh
into
my
a
gosh.
land of fruit and honey for you. Fruit and honey. Trust
Don't
me.
tell me this.
It's beautiful. 23
Producer
years.
Brian.
That is
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh no.
Brian, you have something different, but equally delicious. Okay.
Smell. Like I said, I'm getting pears on the nose. Whatever that is.
Absolutely. No, you should.
Okay.
All right. So some vintners from California wanted to create a bourbon, went to Kentucky, drove around, found their distillery. And what you're having is something called Lone Whisker. Can you see the label?
Okay.
Okay. It's a 12-year bourbon, 93.8
Silky.
proof.
What was the proof?
93.8, but it's a 12-year bourbon,
12.
Lone Whisker. They've only made 2,000 bottles of this. That's it. So very small batch. And you know, when you drink wine, really good wine has that really deep well at the bottom. Can y'all see that? You can see my finger.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look at this bottle. This is rare for bourbon. They put this bourbon in a really nice wine bottle. I mean, it's really delicious. It's just so good. And I've ordered the Dogfather. It's not here yet. It'll be here in a few weeks. It's their 15 year of this version.
This has a butterscotch note.
Oh, brown sugar, cinnamon, bunches of rye spice. It definitely has that Kentucky hug.
This feels good. Like it's the mouth feel on this
Oh.
is amazing. It's like
It's
silk.
It's delicious.
It's like taking a silk napkin and just wiping your mouth with it on the
It's
inside.
delicious. It is so good. It's very rare.
That's so.
Mm.
Sometimes you
Lone
drink
Whisker.
a bourbon and you just know it's like something about the way they make it
Yeah.
is different. You know, it's the feel. It's all about the feel. Maybe it's not the real thing or not. I've had 5 bourbons now, so I'm making stuff up.
So Ryan, what you got? This one is dubbed to put hair on your chest.
Okay.
Oh.
The Magic Mike.
There
Your
you
wife's
go.
gonna love you tonight.
That's right.
That's gonna
That's right.
stick, especially after that.
You know, I feel bad because I know this is going to be something excellent, and I just don't have the knowledge or experience of bourbon tasting to do it
No.
justice.
Trust me, lower your expectations. I
You're
knew
okay.
you were new, so I didn't give you one of these. I
Okay.
gave you something that's like $29 a bottle.
Oh, she gave me the bottom shelf.
But this is
good,
good. Like
doesn't
I know
matter
what
if
it
it's
is, but
good.
it's good.
It's really good. So you're gonna think about Red Hots, cinnamon Red Hots, and tell me you don't taste cinnamon Red
I know what
Hots.
it's got.
Like that little red candy.
It's definitely got a kick.
This is like man's bourbon right here.
Like 100.
Literally.
Is that the number?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I
old
actually-
granddad 114.
I
Actually
Cinnamon
like it.
Dam Red Hot.
That's good.
Yes. This is definitely. I actually like it. It's good.
That's a
It's
everyday
delicious.
drinker for me.
Now, should I
Listen.
try the water thing with it, or
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
I would.
Let me tell you.
how many drops should I
listen,
do?
Just a handful, just like 2 or 3.
2 or 3? Okay.
It doesn't take many because that water molecule's so big, it just
Yeah.
blows up
That's
that
one of
bourbon.
the best cocktail
That's what they say about
bourbons.
me.
Absolutely. Put it in an old fashioned. Oh my God, it's delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I just put the water in this one, and it's completely different. Yeah, you're
This one
right.
means
Like,
nothing. It's
You know,
Oh,
this
oh
is
my lord.
this.
Yeah.
What's cool is I'm like the newest member of this podcast,
Yeah.
and I was like, it's cool because it was like, okay, yeah, I get to be a part of a podcast with some cool guys that
Yeah.
and little did I know I would be able to have an experience like this. So this is. And a
Oh,
good,
that
this
just
is
warms
good.
my heart.
Yeah.
This is what it's about.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love
Yes.
sharing bourbon with people and get to know you and have a discussion, tell some stories. I mean, this is what it's about. This right here. This is
Oh my
amazing.
So
God.
big, and we need to do a DB. I can't even say it now.
letters,
You're so drunk.
words.
DCBC, and
Yep.
have Tanya with us.
Absolutely. So we do a downtown cigar and bourbon club. So you'll have to come up, do it on.
I've seen that in Charlotte, right there near the stadium.
It's in my house.
Like your club.
Come on up. Like we'll do it on a Friday. You can spend the night.
Yeah.
We'll have.
Yeah. I'll have to spend the night. If I'm coming to drink bourbon and smoke cigars, I got to spend the night.
One time, okay.
Producer Brian will be on the patio.
One time
on the
I slept on the porch. Once. Okay.
Oh, we'll tell you that story when you get here. So that was a fun night.
I'll bring some good bourbon with me. Some good cigars.
This is not. Don't bring the 23, but I will cut off my privates for this. Oh my.
So Lord. So my contest. This was my contest pour. I had to do a flight, present a flight, and Steve Nally was a judge. I mean, he's also a 40+ year master distiller. Hall of Famer, just like Jim and Chris Morris. And so I did a life flight, like, kind of stages of life. When you start out, it's Maker's Mark, and then you move to, something a little better, a single barrel 4 Roses. And then I finished with Elijah Craig 23. And I said, this is the last bourbon I have before I die. I'm happy. I mean, it's older than my favorite pair of shoes. It's just, it's dust. It's a little dusty, a little library, little oak, little lemon, but it's just so good.
I will say I've got socks that are about this old. So there's that.
I have other clothing that's this old too. So we won't talk about the unmentionables.
I feel so bad, Producer Ryan, that you're not having this, but
yeah, it's all right. Mine was good,
oh my gosh.
So.
Darling, I'll send you a bottle. I'll send you a sample of this.
Well, and here's the thing, like again,
you can come to the house, Brian. You can come to the house and get whatever you want.
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
So I mentioned I have some friends that's going to bring the Pappy 15, and part of me, Producer Brian, I'll be honest with you, like I was like, if I can forego, like 1 ounce of my 2 ounce pour to you, like I would do that. Like
absolutely.
It breaks my heart because it's like one of those bottles that like you need to share. And I feel like they're being nice and sharing with me, but I'm like, but my friend here would love this,
Who wouldn't love it? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I know you appreciate it. So
I understand it.
I've had Pappy 15. It's pretty hot.
Well, and this one is the one out of Buffalo Trace. So I'm from Pappy Land. So I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So shout out to you. The Whiskey Priest will be here. He'll be on episode April 16th. So he'll be on the show. So that'll be our guest that week.
Wait a minute. I'm also I'm a minister as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but are you? Huh. Well, you're the bourbon the bourbon priestess.
Let me tell you. No, one of my friends wanted to get married. She's like, I want you to marry us. I'm like, what? So I got my license to marry them in certain states, and I knew her and her really close friends, but there was 70 people at a wedding. Well, because I was the minister, nobody would talk to me after the wedding. And I'm like, y'all don't understand. I drink bourbon. Like nobody wants to talk to me.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
It was fun though. Yeah.
I was a youth pastor and I would go golfing like during the weekdays. And then, I'd just pick up on a foursome and then they would say, well, what do you do? And I'd say, I'm a youth pastor. And then they would just stop cussing. And I'm like, why the hell just stop cussing? Like I was so upset.
It's like nobody wanted to talk to me. I'm there wanting to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
I'm the one that brought the bourbon.
Yeah, you're the fun one.
Nobody wants to talk to me.
Wow. Honestly, this has been a treat.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
Honestly, like this is gonna be one of those things like I'll remember for the rest of my life. Like having this lineup and having you walk us through this will be something
fantastic.
Like I'll never forget. And so and those kind words that you said, Ryan, has been awesome. So I appreciate that.
No, y'all have been great. This has been so much fun. This has been just a blast.
Good.
Getting it together and
I'm really looking forward to our future, like because this isn't gonna be the end. Like we're going to Kentucky together. You're coming over to the house. Like we're family now. So there's that.
All right. How many chicken sandwiches do I need to eat?
Absolutely. As many as you want or as little as you want. That's fine. My wife made some pimento cheese grits though that I think that you will just love.
Listen, oh my God. You just mixed two of my favorite foods. Oh my God. I'm going to have to have that recipe.
We actually have a question from somebody on the live stream. Chris Abney is asking if you've had, Tanya, if you've had any sherry boy, I've had too much. If you've had any sherry finished bourbon, and if so, did you like it and what was it?
Yes, I have. Oh my gosh. So I trained heavily in some sherry finished bourbon, both Belmead, which is delicious. It's out of Nashville. It is really good. And I'm good friends with Becky Nyanya, and she was also in this contest with me, but she carries people through tastings at Belmead in Nashville. They have a sherry finish that's great. And so does Bardstown. It is fantastic. They also have a sherry finished. And there's another one. It's Joseph Magnus. That's really good. So yeah, I love sherry finished bourbon. And that's actually, I trained on that so heavily. And the blind pour that I missed, on the contest that I was in was a Goodwood Ale. And I thought it was a sherry finish. And so it made me lose my points and not be in the finals for that. But I love sherry finished bourbon. It's really good.
Very cool. Awesome. Any other questions?
Those are my favorites.
That's the only one so far.
Oh, that's great.
I've always shied away from finished stuff.
Oh God, I love them. Have you had Angel's Envy Rye? That's finished.
I don't know.
It's fantastic. Oh man.
I've had a lot of stuff. Thank you, Biggin, but not.
Listen, I could do a whole finished lineup. So, yeah. I could do a whole finished lineup. Bardstown's doing some of the best I've had.
So we don't have a guest next week, so we can make that work.
They work with Copper and Kings, and do a lot, and a lot of the wineries are now getting involved, and they do a lot of partnerships with the Prisoner Wine Company, and I mean, there's some just amazing port wine barrels, Chardonnay. I've had cognac finish, a lot of High West double rye cognac. Fantastic. Just really a huge fan.
Chris just asked another question. If you like sherry finished scotch.
I don't. I'm not a scotch fan. The peat and the smoke is just not my flavor profile. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I've been thinking about going. I was a scotch drinker a long time ago. 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hit bourbon. I've been Scotch curious again, but I haven't.
Yeah.
I don't ever walk down that part of the, ABC store.
Yeah.
I live in the bourbon area, and I go, oh, okay, and I end up with one of those. And then like this weekend, I needed, St. Patrick's Day was yesterday, so I got a Irish whiskey just because I don't think I've ever had Irish whiskey.
Oh man, it's good. Was a
completely different experience. It was
but it's good.
It was good. It was a Teeling small batch. It was it's rum finished.
Yeah.
It's like dessert whiskey. It was really good.
Yeah.
It's really good with Oreos.
I have the Glenmorangie Telecake. It is literally like eating a cake. It's delicious. It's really good.
So like Irish, for just the one bottle, it's like dessert whiskey. So you have all these other bourbons, then you need dessert. So I could get it.
I have two Irish whiskeys. I have Jameson, which I love as like shots, like mix it with stuff, butterscotch, and all kind of shots. Pickle. I love picklebacks. I love pickle juice. Magic Mike. I love pickle juice, so a pickleback is really good. But I have a friend of mine for a party brought me a Middleton, like a really good aged Irish whiskey, and it is absolutely fantastic. It was the one that I reviewed a year ago on St. Patrick's Day. It's fantastic.
We actually have one more question again from Chris.
Of course.
Tanya, it says, your opinion. Is there a better under 25 bottle than Wild Turkey 101? He says no. It's amazing, and it's Julian Pappy approved.
Listen, it is hard to beat Wild Turkey 101. I am not even kidding you. It is delicious. It's great. It makes my cheeks turn really red. Like it does have that red, like I don't know what is in it that makes me turn red. But I mean, it's a good pour. I'm not even kidding. I reviewed it. It was one of my days, and
I love it.
it was one of my 100 days because you have to include Wild Turkey 101.
Yes.
You cannot drink bourbon without trying it.
I love it.
And it is really good. It is hard to beat for the money. It's really hard to beat.
I rotate that in Old Granddad 114 as a daily.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Kind of drink, so.
No, absolutely. And if I'm going to mix an old fashioned, which is my favorite cocktail, I mean, Wild Turkey's easy. It's easy, easy money. That and Maker's Mark and, Woodford and it's just been great spending that evening with you guys. Thank you. Thank you for bringing me on.
Listen, I'm so happy right now. Like I kind of want to cry.
It's probably the fifth shot.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just sitting here
it's the fifth pour.
I'm not going to finish that Wendy's chicken sandwich just because that was so good. I don't want it to ruin my palate. Penny, where can people get a hold of you and follow your 100 Days of Instagram and just follow you and get to know more about you?
That's awesome. So on Instagram, I'm Thompson Tanya at Thompson Tanya. And I just started on March 11th. I started the next 100 Days of Bourbon for year number 2. I can't believe I'm doing this.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm going to follow. So I'm on day 8. And so today is day 8. This is dinner day 8. So I'll put this online for y'all.
This is day 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there's that.
This is day 8. Oh gosh.
I just keep looking at these 5 empty glasses over here and this makes me so happy.
This is a great Thursday.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks.
And I just followed you.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thanks.
If you need to block him, I understand. There's that.
No, I'm not a stalker.
Just keep your shirt on.
Yeah.
Keep your shirt on.
For your benefit, yes, I will.
I'll keep mine on if you keep yours on.
Yeah, this is the Gabriel Iglesias, DJ guy. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Not Channing Tatum or.
Wait a minute. Listen, we got to stop soon enough for me to get a chicken sandwich from somewhere.
Absolutely.
It's open.
Do you remember that skit with Chris Farley and Patrick Swayze when he was a Chippendales?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I watch it all the time.
So
absolutely.
Perfect.
It's hilarious.
All right, guys, we are going to tune out for the rest of the night because Daddy needs to go sleep. And I've had way too much to drink. So next week we have Popeyes versus KFC. We do not have a guest, so we will probably just enjoy more bourbon and have a good time. See if we can get that BTAC supply. We appreciate Tanya for coming on. Again, follow her on Instagram. We'll have all that information on our show notes. Anything else you guys want to add?
Thanks for listening.
Nope. Yeah.
Hey, it's been a great night with y'all. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you so much.
We'll see ya. Cheers.
Cheers.
I don't have anything left.
Well, and as always, guys, keep looking up. You're listening to the SF